Hello and welcome to On the Esky, an Australian's podcast for you and I and a bunch of larrikin dickheads.
That's a good way of putting it. Guys that like to sit around, have a can, talk some shit about some sport.
Yeah,
all kinds of sport.
All kinds of sport. So today we're going to talk about the big story, of course, State of Origin the other night.
Yeah.
Then we're going to talk about the trade day in the AFL. We've got the round in NFL, of course. And then I think we're going to finish up with a bit of rugby news and a little bit of cricket and golf to round out the show for today. So I guess we'll start with introducing ourselves. I've got Jimmy the Chinaman over here on the left, and Tony the Italian nose here on the right.
The pepperoni, aka the Pepsi.
And of course, Sean.
We've got to get you a nickname.
I was thinking about Redbeard because it kind of fits.
Oh, yeah, I don't mind that. I'm looking a little bit Viking-y at the moment.
Yeah, the white dude with the ginger beard, that's
Skull.
me.
Sean Skull.
So I think the best place to start is we'll start with State of Origin. So last night, New South Wales win Game 2 in Sydney in front of a crowd of about 36,000, 32 to 10.
34?
34.
I think they had that little penalty
at
at the end.
Yes. I'd forgotten by then.
You'd packed up and left, hadn't you?
So what do you got boys think? What do you think of the game overall?
I thought as trying to keep it neutral, I thought there was a better flowing game in terms of, less drop ball. There was some big hits. It kind of felt a bit more State of Origin-y.
The quality was definitely a lot better, I thought, and it felt more like like you say, an Origin quality kind of game.
Yeah, there were some guys that were really fired up. Obviously, we'll get to there's a little bit of biff and just the way that guys like Addo Carr were attacking the football and just a little bit extra grit. I don't know if maybe the grand final hangover or whatever had sort of settled from game one. That would have only been affecting a few players, but it felt like State of Origin again to me.
Yeah, full camp for them of another 7 days and getting prepared and getting ready and stuck in this game probably definitely helped.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And probably being a little bit less biased, this is probably the New South Wales team that we should have expected in week one.
Yeah, they kind of played like they were expected to play in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And whatever, it's so strange. The home field advantage in State of Origins is such a massive thing. The Blues always play shit hot in Sydney and likewise for the Maroons up in Brisbane, and that neutral venue, you sort of don't really know what you're going to get.
Yeah, which it gives me confidence for this year because last year game 1 was in Brisbane and then, of course, Queensland win that and then go to Perth for game 2 and all talk about Queensland possibly winning that and then get blow out, and of course it's in Sydney, so it's very hard to do to win that series for Queensland. But this way around, they've game 1 was in Adelaide, so they've snuck that. Game 2 is in Sydney, and of course the decider being in Queensland is very beneficial to Queensland. Getting that win in Adelaide was huge for them because I think the stats a decider in Origin in Brisbane last time New South Wales won it was 05 and 94.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Pretty few and far between. And outside of the Queensland dynasty of the last few years, obviously discarding 19 and 20 where the Blues have won, outside of that, the inverse seems to be true. When it's 1-1 and it heads to Sydney, the Blues tend to get it. So if we follow the script, maybe it is the Maroons' year. But after last night, who knows? The Blues did look like a really good State of Origin footy side.
Yep. And for Game 3, we'll probably talk more about Game 3 at the end, but hopefully they get a good crowd in Queensland. I'm not sure if it won't be the full 50,000 capacity.
How many do they have at the Rugby? Because that was at Suncorp on the weekend, wasn't it?
That 20-something.
So about half, maybe?
It could just be rugby.
There was no restrictions. Yeah.
Can't give away tickets.
I'm not sure if they're going to look for 30 or 40. But, it'd be interesting to see. And the other thing is with the border being closed, is it only going to be expat New South Walesmen that are going to be at the game in Queensland? Or
hate to be those.
Yeah, or is it going to be like a 99% crowd of Queensland?
Yeah, it could be. I think it could.
Which would be huge for Queensland.
Yeah, it could turn the game, Should we review last night?
Yeah, so let's go. I think the first story and we'll watch a bit of the highlights as we were talking about it. Munster getting hurt in the 3rd minute. Took a head knock and then failed his HIA.
And when did Hunt go off for memory? Because it wasn't.
So they switched him. So Hunt comes on basically straight away for here. So he's playing 14. So he comes in and plays 6 for the rest of the game.
Yeah, yeah.
But overall, I think Munster was a huge loss for them.
Massive, yeah. He was so good in game 1 and obviously for the Storm all through the finals, and really they lost a lot of their attacking flair, it seemed.
Yeah, I think they lost a little bit of direction, definitely in attack, but in also defence, I think it really impacted them. Because I think overall, the first 15-odd minutes, Queensland were probably on top.
Yeah, scored the first try.
Yep.
Seemed to have the
awesome try
run
by Coates, by the way. Huge somersault to get in that corner. That was massive.
That was like, you see wingers just keep doing more crazy shit. And you kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, you know, that someone's had a leaping try, whatever. It seems like it's run of the mill. This one, that's some of the craziest shit I've ever seen in rugby league.
Yeah, he almost goes straight up and then curls and comes straight back down.
Like a literal flying somersault, manages to ground the ball. It kind of looked like some NFL type manoeuvring without the helmets. And he's not a small man, Xavier Coates, the 19-year-old. He's 195 centimetres, over 100 kgs. Awesome viewing. Not the best for a New South Welshman, but as a fan of the game, geez, delicious.
So I think the middle and the end portion of this game, Queensland, maybe not the complete end of the game, but I thought Queensland were better in the first 20 minutes than in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'd say it's probably more to do with the forward pack. They kind of lost direction, the platform.
There's that try now.
Yeah, crazy.
Oh, man.
That they're really after. And I think I'm going to put it squarely on Papali was, in those first 20 and that last 20, he was the difference. And you could clearly see that. But without him, I thought Lindsay Collins was really good, but then I thought Damaris Louis was okay, but could have been better. And I forget the name of whoever number 17 was that came on. He was unspectacular is probably the best way to explain it.
That would have been, he was that Moyaki Fotuaka.
Yeah, that's the one. Plays for the Tigers.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the most memorable.
No, and he had a pretty poor outing. I just don't think he had enough oomph to put him for what the role called, what they needed out of him. I think they really miss Welch off the bench, and who was the other forward they were missing? I can't remember.
You're the Queensland man.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head because it wasn't Hess. It was someone else.
We'll get back to it.
Yep. My overall point being, I thought the forward pack kind of lost their way in that. Well, I think the Queensland team lost their way in that middle 40 minutes. And that's very much when New South Wales scored their 30-odd points.
Yeah, all in that middle 40.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see when Papali was actually, like the minutes that he was off the field. And
I think he's very much, I think it was 21st minute he was off, and he came back on like 59th to 60 minutes. Like it was almost exactly, he did his 40-minute stint.
We were talking about it last week. It's the best prop in the game. He's had that late try for him, and on both sides of the footy, just explosive.
I'd say give a bit of props to Fittler for the switch of Paulo and Haas around. I think Paulo was very dominant coming in for that second 20.
Running at tired guys a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. So I was I didn't say it last previous show, but I thought Wayne very much outcoached Fittler in the first game. Because I think the inverse was true for this one.
Yeah.
I thought, that play, that direction they'd given with the forward pack and how they managed their interchange, I thought was better. And then I also thought some of the kicking game, the way they structured that, and then also the stuff they were doing off the scrums, they'd really gone back to, maybe not the drawing, but they'd gone back and reassessed and readdressed a bunch of things.
Really tidy. Just looking at the New South Wales first try there from Cody Walker. Just a nice little shimmy and give out of Nathan Cleary, who was much better last night than he was in game 1. And Cody rewarding the selectors by scoring the first try for the Blues. And like we were alluding to last week, has that ball running ability from the number 6, which a lot of other guys don't.
Yeah, it's Keary.
Unless maybe their name's Jack White, but we've beaten that to death.
Yeah. My point on Cody Walker is I thought he was pretty solid. He scored the try. He set up another one, and then I think he had another really good kick in the game.
Yeah, he set someone up towards the end there with a little grubber.
Yeah. Overall, I think he was solid, but again, I think maybe he could have got more out of the 6, but I think then Cleary was running the side around very fine. So Cody very much took a back seat to him.
Yep.
And he did what he needed to do.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on that first try a bit because I think it was also a product of missing Munster because Hunt made a pretty poor read in there where I think Cody beats his man one-on-one, but Hunt's already overrun the side. And I think on the second try as well is very much through Hunt's gap or his assignment too. So I think losing Munster reset their defensive line and they very much attacked it, and good on New South Wales again to pick that out and pick that side and definitely exploit it. I thought overall in the second half Hunt definitely defended better, so getting more into the game, I guess getting more used to their call and signals in that position, that it was overall better. But in that 20-odd section after New South Wales got a lot of ball and they're attacking, they've definitely gone down the right side, and Hunt had a few pretty poor reads which led to some tries.
Yep, for sure. What about the intensity of Addo-Carr? We just saw him chase down that long kick there and really get stuck into Phillip Sami there in the...
Well, I think they exposed both the Queensland wingers for a little bit of pace. So, again, Ben Hunt misses... So on Teddy, James Tedesco's the second try for New South Wales, again, it was Ben Hunt overrunning it and then getting beaten on the inside with no support on the inside.
Teddy doing...
Which he did. Which after this, he didn't do for the rest of the game.
No.
So it didn't improve, but it cost him 2 tries and a bit of momentum in this.
Let's have a look
He kind of dives hard and then can't come back to it. And of course...
footwork of Teddy just had Hunt in all sorts there. Yeah, really overcommitted and cut him on the inside.
Yeah. So going back to what you were saying about Cleary, and what I mentioned before with the kicking game and Queensland wingers getting found out, I think they very much looked at it and were, these guys have got good size, they're pretty okay for pace, but we got Addo-Carr. They very much picked the corners, kicked early, like even on second in the count. Addo-Carr had awesome chases, and then they just buried Queensland down in their half. So Queensland very much struggled to get into their opposition's half for much of the middle 40, which then, of course, made it a lot easier for New South Wales to then dominate the field position, start them deep, and we're starting on our 30-40 every time and coming down, and just wore Queensland out. They just couldn't keep it up. And without that platform of the forward pack, they were just losing.
We've mentioned Papali that we think he's the best prop in the game. Do you think Addo-Carr's the best winger in the game?
I'd say yes. I can't think of anyone else.
No, he's just so dynamic on the field. He's
so fast.
If you pick him between these 4, he's the best one.
Yeah. I think that's a fair statement. Your boy Jackie Whiten, we haven't quite got to it yet on the highlights, but he busted over for a nice try. Very Jack-esque, just using his strength to bust over.
So it's one of the things I probably want to pick on, because they stuck with Gutherson as well. So they kept him in the side and kept both their centres in the side, and they had better games. But overall, I thought every time Gagai or Cape Ball got the ball, they were beating them one-on-one. So they were getting a lot of opportunity. So for game 3, if I'm Queensland, I'm looking like, well, they're still out there. We're still getting good results out of attacking this. We need to do it more. And it could, again, be a product of missing Munster, that they didn't go enough to Gagai and his side and give him a good quality ball. But every time Cape Ball got ball on Clint, he was always beating him.
Gutho's obviously being asked to defend a lot more than he'd be used to. He made 21 tackles last night. He'd probably do that in a month playing fullback for Parramatta. It is possibly a point where they could expose the Blues in game 3, and they were getting the better of them. I thought so too last night. Obviously, Capewell being a big guy and Gagai just being, built for Origin. So I actually didn't really capitalise so much on beating him defensively.
Yeah, not in this game, but I think you could look for it. You need, for Queensland in the next game, it's like we need to set a good forward, not momentum, not presence. What's the word?
Another keyword.
platform. That's what I'm looking
Yeah,
at.
we'll go with that. That's good.
Well, good forward platform that then your halves can work off, so we can then attack with that centres.
Yeah.
To put them in good spots.
Well said.
There's no point trying to attack in your own 30 or 40 against the centres because it's just so far to go. You need to get into the opposition's half at their 20, at their 30 or 20, to then be able to attack them through that centre field, where you can actually use that. And very much if they're beaten their one guy 1-on-1, and it's then you in the winger. Like Gagai's already proven enough that he little flick pass out the side and then in they go. Like it's very doable
for sure.
So so to finish off the first half without Okar scoring that late try.
Was that off Walker's boot?
No, that wasn't off Walker's boot. That was through the hands. I think it was broken play and then they got through and scored that. But I think that one, I thought actually no, this is the one off the scrum. And and I'm going to pick on Jake Friend in a minute going from this. I don't think he was the worst perpetrator of this. I think actually DCE made the bad read on this. Was the one that was the odd number out.
How about the finish there from the Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think...
I know I'm pumping up his tires tonight, but look, like bang, doesn't get touched, bang, gets a hand on him. Yeah. Two big right foot steps and slices through him like butter.
But I thought if Queensland could have got into the half at 12-4, I think that would have been a better contest in the second half.
The old momentum changing.
Yeah, I think
try before half time.
How much defence they'd done in that last 20, and if they'd gotten out of it 12-4, and I was like, well, this is the same as last week. We can get out of this. We can beat these guys. Yeah. That last try, I was like, oh shit. Well, maybe that's broke the camel's back a bit. And they lost their way.
There's a big mental difference between 14 points and 8 points.
Yep,
for sure.
Yeah. And Queensland very much looked like they lost their way and stuff they came out at half time.
So Jake Friend.
That was thank you, Peppy. That's what I want to come back to. So let's talk about the scrum plays because New South Wales did it 3 times to Queensland, where they started 3-3 and then they shifted to a 4-3. From the 3 times, they scored 2 tries.
Made it look very easy, simple overlap type stuff.
Yeah, on the first one, I think I don't think I'd have to go back and look at it because I know on the second one, it was the second try that is, it was definitely Friend. He was sitting off the back of the scrum and very slow and didn't actually cover across the scrum. He was the number and made it too easy for Tupou to get across. There's
your boy Jack's try. Just gets on the outside there of Xavier Coates, and
I think he ducks under Gagai.
Under Gagai, and Coates can't finish him off there.
I think back to my other point about Gagai versus White, and I thought Gagai overall had his number throughout both games. But, you give Jack enough ball one-on-one close to the line, he's going to get you eventually. Yeah. And he did. So in this case, he did. Got inside, and then Jack that close to the line is just too strong, too powerful.
Yeah, isn't he just?
So, he's got him good low tackle, but he's just, he busts through it and he gets over. You can't always tackle Jack and get him to the ground.
He plays stronger than his size, doesn't he? Like, he's
he's so strong.
He's no bigger than your average centre. He's big for 5'8", but he's no bigger than your average centre getting around in the NRL, but his finishing power and, just his how clinical he is once he gets the ball, on your try when you're defending your try line. Yeah. Unreal. There's a bit more of that state of origin ticker we're talking about.
I think Queensland did a lot of dumb stuff as well.
Well, Phillip Sammy there probably shouldn't have stood back up and he gets dragged into touch. Yep. And I think New South Wales score pretty soon after that. There's the next try out of the scrum, is it?
No, so that's the one they stopped.
That's the one they stopped, and that went very close with Tupou on that left edge.
Again, it was Friend. He was on the back of the scrum there that didn't come across quick enough. So I know on these 2 in the second half, he was the offender. I think in the first one, he wasn't. Don't think it was DC because I figured he was at the scrum, so I think it was someone else that was sitting off but didn't switch. But it's interesting enough, Queensland did in about the 65th minute, did the same thing. They switched late and had 4-on-3 and they got a good run out of it. So if you go back to like a month or so ago and I said, talking about they should use scrums more, scrums are useful, they need to attack more. I'm glad they're seeing it. Yeah. I'd also be more happy if they could count off and go, well, we're one short here, we should bring someone over.
Yeah, like it kind of boggles the mind that they can't go, oh, hang on, there's a massive overlap here, get someone across quick. I I still like having the scrum there. You know,
it's a perfect attacking play.
Yeah,
because it's 1-on-1. Like you just got to beat your guy.
Yeah, it turns the field into a sevens game or a sixes game, if you will, and you got to try and defend like that for a play.
Yeah. What annoys me was how. I'm going to go with stupid it was that they turned it into 4-on-3 because they just wouldn't can off and wouldn't mark up. And, they're talking commentary about trying to set the defensive line and for the previous play or for the next play that's going to happen after it. And it's just like, doesn't matter if there's another play if they're scoring tries off the first one. So this is where they score this one.
Here it comes.
So it's just too
Teddy
easy.
just draw and pass, sends Tupou through.
Can you just rewind that for like...
That was his first
hit the 15.
First state of origin try there.
So watch Jake.
Daniel Tupou.
No, you got too far. It doesn't matter.
That's all right. Let it play out.
So they're giving Jake Friend a rap for the amount of tackles he did, and he did a huge amount of effort. I'll get to Jake Friend in a second.
You're unloading on some of your own boys, aren't you?
But
it comes from passion.
Bent over.
Comes from passion.
Just watch where he is.
He's gassed.
He's on the back of the scrum. He's number 4, and that's him about 30 meters away from where he needs to be. I think. Let's go through things. I think Jake Friend got through a mountain of work.
Yeah.
I think he copped a lot of heavy knocks. He probably was concussed and should have gone off. He
made 49 tackles.
Tackles.
So he's topped the tackle count both games.
Yeah, I think at least 4 or 5 times he was put on his bum. As in he come up to put a shot on and was laid on his ass, which is not great for him. Which is also a liability.
Most notably that Nathan Brown run where he absolutely steamrolled Friend.
Yeah. But that was like the last one. It happened to him about 3 or 4 times before.
Yeah.
So.
That looked like the old truck stick on Madden. Flick that stick forward, boom.
The problem was as the game went on too, and it kind of, I think it was adding up because his service out of dummy half got worse and worse. There was definitely a few times where he threw it behind him, threw it too hard. His service was a bit lacking. So overall, for me, Jake Friend was okay and solid, but he just wasn't giving you enough out of dummy half of what you needed, especially in Origin, especially where they were. I wanted more compared to, what Damien Cook was doing for the other team.
Well, compare the pair. So Cookie made 41 tackles, so 8 less, but he had 9 runs out of dummy half for 82 metres. Friend had 5 for 29.
Yeah.
So not really giving you that option, that extra attacking option. Just coming into the fight here. So pretty much the lead up was...
it's Friend and Nathan Brown again. So Brown kicks the ball away and Friend gives him a little head rub on the back.
Yeah, a little clip over the back of the head, not much in it. You can see Friend's having a whinge to the referees there that Brown's kicked the ball away.
Yeah.
And then we've been practicing this all day, but I'm still going to...
Tino.
Big Tino. Fausa Malawi. That's definitely... Fasua Malawi. Very good, Monkey. Very good. Tino, Fasua Malawi and Payne Haas get into a bit of a biff. They instigate an Origin melee. They both get put in the bin.
So Haas...
What's our thoughts?
Haas throws the first 2 punches and then, of course, Tino retaliates and then there's a bunch of jersey pulling. I think there was a few sneaky... punches to the guts from someone else, but you can't really see it. You can see some hands flying though.
In the chaos of it all, there's a few uppercuts coming in from all goodness knows who. Yeah, just give us a few replays on it there, Monks.
But and again, because that's a replay of the Nathan Brown head slap.
Yeah,
a little bit of a spinning elbow there to from Nathan Brown.
A few words said. Few words said.
But
and then
no, they don't. That's you got to go back further. But overall, I think that there's talk about they're going to face the judiciary and, they could miss a week. It's probably a bit over the top.
But the rules are if you throw punches as...
Well, I thought a couple of years ago when they were talking about taking, got to take the biff out of Origin and stuff like that, if you throw a punch, it was a send-off. I thought they were talking send-offs. But I thought, binning them for what it was, which was 4 punches, 2 each, essentially, send them off for 10 minutes, cool off.
Yeah.
I think that's probably enough.
I like it, I like it. If they pulled him into the judiciary and said, the image of the game and this and that, don't do it again. Little slap on the wrist and let him play next week. We'd all love that. You got to think maybe the NRL might come down on them a little bit tougher.
But you'd prefer to see Haas taking the first hit up of game 3 and then
of course,
Tino and him having a massive first hit up. That's what you want.
Anyone that's a fan of rugby league, and of course,
if you're not Harvey Norman, the sponsor, that's what you want to see.
Yeah, you want to see a little bit of a biff, and sure, we're three, Aussie males. You like to see a little bit of testosterone. We love the UFC. It's fighting, I suppose, doesn't really have a place in modern rugby league.
Oh, especially this is not of the quality of UFC fighting. This is a couple of boys that don't know how to throw punches to start with.
Wouldn't you like to see him in an octagon though? Two physical specimens, just about the two biggest blokes on each team.
Yeah, Paul Gallen's
up against Mark Hunt at the end.
Yeah.
Well, he's the only one that's ever kind of really knew how to throw a punch. And what was Scott's? Scott was his last name or was his first name? What was the Bulldogs front rower that played that Paul Gallen knocked out? Hit him twice and knocked him out.
And he's from the Bulldogs.
He's from the Bulldogs. Price. Scott Price?
Yeah.
The other one? Yeah. So, you can see the difference between
Steve Price.
Steve? Yeah, it could be Steve.
Munch, you going to Google on that? I remember that. Bulldogs legend.
Played for Queensland for a very, very long time. But, got into a biff with a bloke that knew how to throw punches and then it ended up on, face first in the turf.
Yeah,
so there's a clear difference between a bunch of guys having basically a bar fight versus the blokes that actually know how to throw punches.
I'll tell you what, in the middle of Origin, it's nice to watch a bit of a bar fight. There's Big Papa. It's the 63rd minute. He's busted over in a nice solo effort.
He's just come back on, and I think that's like his first or second touch.
Yeah, and reminding the Maroons that the game's not over. This is just typical deadly Papa from, try stopping him. Who's that on him? Cookie, yeah.
Again, isolated him, good ball by DC.
Yeah, no help from anyone else.
I think New South Wales would probably watch that video and go, shit, we should have known this was coming.
Yeah, you got to get two other big bodies around Cookie there to help him.
Because I think it was the second tackle, and I turned to him of the game and said, all right, Papa's coming for the run here. This is his try run, and of course he scored. So there's his Gadewell on the outside we were talking about, but they dropped the ball.
Geez, he scores some tries for a big man, doesn't he? Big Papa.
Well, he's got a sneaky good footwork close to the line.
Yeah, he does. And he's actually deceptively fast for his size as well.
Yeah. So let's go back to my Jake Friend point. And I'll finish that point off by saying I think Harry Grant should play game 3.
I can see where you're coming from. I think there's no chance that it happens.
Well, the news is they're talking about that since Jake Friend's played the last 280 minutes and taken a bunch of head knocks, that they might play Grant in his space.
Really?
So
have they brought him in?
He's been
only Thursday. Well, he's been in the camp the whole time.
He's been in the camp the whole time, yeah. He's the number 2, essentially, hooker. There's talk that he actually might have got the start and Friend would miss out. But I think they've definitely gone with a veteran presence in the spine as much as they could because the rest of the team's pretty young.
Harry Grant,
22.
22. Yep. He'd definitely be a big Origin star in the future. It'd be interesting to see if it happens in a week.
I think he can just give them more out of dummy half than... I think he'd be as good as Friend and give you more.
Do you think they'll name him as a 14, as a off the bench kind of thing? Or
depends on Munster. So that's the other thing. Like if Munster can play 6, then maybe not because you've got Hunt there already.
Yep.
And then that's a question of what do you do with you're going to play Hunt at 6 because he's not a 6.
No.
And I don't really want to bring Corey Norman to the side. So you've got who's going to play 6 where?
Yeah. Geez, if Munster doesn't play, that's a massive reshuffle.
Is Michael Morgan hurt at the moment?
Yeah, I don't think he hasn't been playing at all. I don't think.
Yeah, maybe that because that's the only other bloke I can think of in the halves for Queensland.
Have a look there, Michael Morgan injury news. From memory, I don't think he was in that squad.
He's definitely not in the squad, but I don't know if
but
he's
the Cowboys obviously finished, outside of the top 8, so he could have had probably 6-7 weeks have passed since the Cowboys have been finished.
Shit, JT's in the box. Just put on jersey, JT, and run out last 6. Just one game.
Well, what about Cam Smith? Cam Smith does our Smokey. That's why he hasn't retired because he's going to run out there for one game next Wednesday night.
He didn't
completely unsubstantiated on the Esky rumour.
If he didn't come back last year, I don't think he's coming back this year. No. But if you're going to change a hooker, Harry Grant's got to be your man. And they've gone young already this year. That's why I thought they might have played him game 1 because if you're going young, Friend's not really helping you out long term. But you can't have everyone at every position as under 20, 22.
Yeah,
so
you need a bit of experience out there. Any Michael Morgan news?
I'm trying to find. There's no recent news.
Just see, Sean, if you can, or can you get that Queensland Origin squad up? Because I'm sure he wasn't in the squad.
No, well, I'm just looking at some of the other news of what they're talking about. So it looks like Tomas Louis, who played in this, might miss out in the next game. I don't know who they're going to bring. Oh, they might bring Welsh back in because I think he's due back because he missed game 2 through a head knock. So I think he'd be clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably one of the disadvantages of playing Origins a week apart is the head knocks you can't really recover from. So that's your worry with Munster.
Even little things, or the little niggling injuries where they'd probably just say, "Oh, have a rest from your club." You know, if you had a
I think they missed Welsh very much as well.
Yeah, Welsh was good in game 1. He was really good.
It looks like Sammy might miss out in game 3 as well. Philip Sammy, either Corey Allen, Edric Lee, or Branko Lee. So let's hope it's not neither of the last two of those.
Corey Allen, is he South?
They can't have more wingers and centers.
Who does he play for?
I will quickly Google for it. Did you find any Michael Morgan news?
Yep, just says he's still out.
Yeah.
Along with Ponga, Fafita, and Bai.
Imagine
If they had Ponga.
if Ponga and David Fafita were in that side.
Yeah, he plays for South. You are right.
Yeah, I thought it was South.
And he won Rookie of the John Sattler Rookie of the Year award.
Yeah, he scored a bunch of tries. They, man, like some of these guys, the fact that we're Googling guys for State of Origin.
For Queensland, yeah.
Yeah.
we say that now, and then, well, hopefully in the next 10 years, that they could be the GIs and Falaus of the world. Let me put it this way. No one cared about GI playing for Queensland in the first game.
Yeah.
They only cared after they won the comp for 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
Because they're like, fuck, it would have been good if we had GI.
Hate to make massive comparisons. Obviously, GI had a very accomplished career, but the way Xavier Coates has been looking, you know.
There's definitely talent there.
And there's, reminiscent of...
I think Cape World might end up playing centre next year.
The Sharks might be going, geez, this guy can play in the centres.
Yeah, and it's like, well, fuck, Dugan's injured every week. Maybe we can... Cape World, I think his benefit is he's sneaky quick, but he has good size and good footwork for him. So I might go, well, shit, maybe we go big centres.
And
see how that goes.
It's always easy for the boys, or generally easier for them to drop a few kgs than to chuck it on.
What have we missed? I think a quick mention of the Tino and Haas fight. There's a bit of news in the Brisbane media about reigniting feuds from schoolboy years. So Wayne was getting stuck into the media about hyping something up, which might have put a bit of something in the back of their minds for those boys, and then it just boiled over in the game. It's maybe not unlikely with social media and the way it is these days.
They might be trying to read into it more than there was. But the fact that they had played against each other, maybe a little bit of food for thought. I wouldn't read into it too much.
Yeah.
Sarah, you go, Max.
Yeah, I think after the game, it was all buried on the field.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be mates off the field anyway. So
Yeah.
I think it's just in the moment sort of thing.
Mate against mate, state against state.
That's
the
it.
old adage. Should we have a quick look at those teams? And
let's review the teams. I'll save it. We'll save it till we get to the number 9 because there's a bit of a story on Damien Cook that we missed, but we'll mention it when we get to it. So do you want to New South Wales team first or Queensland team first?
Go New South Wales for this week. Yeah, so Tedesco of a fullback, obviously captain.
Yeah, I think he was more dynamic in attack this week over last week, which again helps score points.
Yep.
Definitely through the middle. He's unreal through the middle with that second phase player getting offloads and that. He's always around that forward pack, which inverse Valentino Holmes, don't think he did enough. I think his positional play was very, very average. There's a lot of times where New South Wales are making breaks or going down the sidelines and Holmes is about 30, 40 metres away, in the middle of the field. You're like, you need to be more over here. So I think his positional play was lacking, and I think his positional play and attacking, he didn't really bring what you would want out of Holmes with his attack play.
Yep.
And using his speed and footwork, again, Queensland didn't have enough ball probably in attack to show it.
Yeah. But
I thought overall his defensive positional play was average too, and continues his poor form from the rest of the year into this game. So I think I don't know what Brimson's injury is from game 1. I hope he's get back in game 3, but they might be stuck with Holmes. But I don't think he's beating down Ponga next year. Let's put it that way.
No, you wouldn't think so. Summed it up well. Wingers?
Wingers. So we had Tupu and Josh Adokar.
Adokar, unreal. Tupu.
Yep.
Not
Good
bad.
enough.
Not bad.
Yeah,
Oh, he scored that try.
Finished, yeah.
Scored a winger's try, pretty much.
Finished well. They did look to him a little bit more under the high ball.
They did try to set him up more, which they didn't
as
do
we
in game
alluded
win.
to.
So
Yeah,
that was really good to see.
Yeah,
They really exposed Oates on that side with a high kick.
Yeah.
I think is what they were
Yeah.
trying to do.
yeah.
And then centres, obviously talked about Gutherson and Whiten.
Yeah, I think we've covered both of them pretty well.
Did enough. Probably could have done more, as we've been saying,
Mhm.
but
Both playing out of position.
both playing out of position, they're getting by. Yeah, let me put it this way. I don't think they're going to win New South Wales this series, but I think they could be the reason why they lose it.
Ooh.
That's my take.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay. So we got a 5'8" and fullback. We had Cody Walker and Nathan Cleary obviously tearing it up with their kicking game.
Halfback, 5'8" and halfback.
Yep. What did I say?
Full, I think. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
We say lots of words in this podcast. Not all of it makes sense.
Cleary was unreal. Kicking game.
Yeah.
Perfection. Cody Walker supported him really well, did what he needed to do.
Did a better job than Kiri did in game one.
Yes.
Yep.
I definitely agree. Yep. Could he have done more and been more attacking like Jack Whiten? Yes.
We get it. You got a man crush on big Jack Whiten.
But I think very much it's Nathan's team, and Nathan did what he needed to do. They kind of joked afterwards that it looked like he's playing in a Penrith jersey, and it looked like he'd played.
Yeah.
Like he'd got his form back, got over his grand final hangover, and played a much better game in this.
Yeah, leaps and bounds.
And again, Fittler probably takes some props. Way better game plan in this one than the first one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Into the pack.
Yep. So props we had Daniel Safidi and Payne Haas.
Unremarkable for me off the top of my head. I probably need to
Payne Haas, of course, missed 10 minutes of his
revisit
stint.
the numbers there a little bit. Haas
Haas
had 165 running metres on 17.
I think
hit-ups was third, only behind Tedesco and Tupou, so actually had the most metres for a prop. So he had a pretty good game, really.
Is it Safidi, the other one?
Yeah, yep. Safidi.
I thought he was better.
He had 127 on 13. So
he looked more damaging to me with the runs he made and his defence. I thought he was the forward of the New South Wales forwards that I was, the most scared of, or the one that I thought was the most damaging.
Just having a look here at the run meters. So there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Blues that made it over the 100-metre mark.
Yeah, I think they showed a stat
compared to 4 Queenslanders.
They showed at the 60-minute mark, I think, some stats, and New South Wales had doubled Queensland in every single one of them.
Yeah.
So like post-contact meters, sets, completed sets, of course, offloads, meters gained, tackles, like the whole lot. They were just dominated Queensland.
So possibly safer to say that the scoreline did reflect the...
Yeah, Queensland got no ball, so
yeah,
and they got very few, if any, piggybacks from the refs to help them out.
No.
They got no possession. So
I like the way they kind of called it. It was sort of a less... That you feel like they do that.
No forward passes this week.
Do that in State of Origin a little bit. They call less than they would in a regular game and just sort of let the boys play a little bit.
Yeah, it was a better ref game, I think, overall. Yeah. And it flowed better. Like it seemed like a better game. It wasn't sloppy and slow.
Yeah. And the back row and Damien Cook.
Yeah, well, Cook first. So a bit of news came out after the game that on Saturday he was in hospital with an infection on his leg. No one kind of noticed it, and he wore a bandage with a pad on it during the game, and no one picked up on it. But he'd been on antibiotics, probably an IV or something, to get fluids into him to fight the infection. Whether it was, they were saying a boil or something like that. Us being NFL boys, I think it's probably staff. Something like that. You get a cut, getting infected. And these guys are tackling, rolling around in dirt all day.
Yeah.
Like it's not uncommon.
Probably just a bit of a nasty boo-boo. Yeah.
It's not great. You can get real bad ones.
Yeah, of course you can. If it gets into your blood, it can kill you. But that's what their doctors are there for. And he didn't look like it was affecting him too much out there. So.
They thought he might not play, but in the end he did, and then he had a great game. I thought it was really good for them.
I think that's really what the story was. Fit was sort of like coaches sorted it out.
Yeah,
showed up at coach's run. good to go on the field.
Back row?
Back row.
Yep. So we had Angus Crichton and Frizzell.
So Frizzell come out of that game a little bit sore.
Yeah. So
he had the split under his eye, and
it's a bad cut too, under the eyebrow. I think I was telling the boys before that's if you follow the UFC, that's one of the cuts that they don't like, is the ones on your eyelid, between your eye and your eyebrow.
And on top of that bad cut underneath the eyebrow there, had some sort of twisting leg injury.
Yeah. When did he go off? Did he finish the game, or was it after?
No, I don't have his minutes here, but looking at his numbers, he'd made 28 tackles.
Well, he went off for that head knock to get the stitches and that sort of that.
So
Past his HRI.
He must have missed a little bit. So
Played
hopefully
about 65 minutes.
That's still most of a game. He is an 80-minute player if he doesn't get hurt. Very, very fit man for his size. So yeah, kind of a little bit harder to assess. How effective he was. He's very tough. You know that much.
I can't find anything to say that he's going to miss game 3. So
it would be a big out. He's one of the better second rowers.
He was good for them. I thought Crichton coming in.
Crichton was actually. I'd like to point. Crichton was really good.
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah, starting there.
Yeah, I thought Jake going to lock, of course. Trebojevic got through a shitload of work as well.
Yep.
Again, I don't think he offers enough for this team in attack like he does for Manly.
No.
But he's doing his role in this team well.
And everyone always says about Jakey Turbo is that he's just a real good teamman and real good bloke to be around. Everyone sort of seems to get around him, and he gets around.
I think he's had better series.
Yeah.
This one, maybe not so much for him, but I think he's doing what he needs to do.
Yeah.
What they're asking him to do, he's doing it.
Yeah. Definitely. And then just really quick off the bench.
Yep.
Who do we have?
We had Finucane, Parlow,
Wrecking ball.
Brown, and Isaiah.
Yeah, wrecking ball, niggle.
think
That might have been the difference, actually.
I was going to say
bench.
that bench compared to Queensland was definitely much more effective.
Finucane had 123 run meters. Paulo, as we mentioned, was just
dynamic.
Machine coming off the bench. He only made 7 tackles, 74 meters, but he had those 2 offloads and just always a handful when he's got the ball. And Nathan Brown, again, only had 9 tackles, 28 meters, but
didn't play huge minutes. I think he only played last 20, but
a little bit of a handful. And same with Big Isaiah. So yeah, that bench did really well.
Yep.
Blues.
Yeah. On the flip side, Queensland's maybe not so much. Didn't have the impact that you were looking for.
Yeah. So I suppose going on to the Queensland side. So we talked a little bit about Holmes already.
Covered Holmes.
So wingers we had Coates and Sammy.
I think Coates started the game off really strong. They targeted him in the air.
Yeah.
They found wanting a couple times. I think overall he did okay.
I think you get this with any young player.
Yeah.
When they come in 19, 20, sometimes they're really explosive with the football. They just got to try and get that defensive, whether it should be their tackling technique or just it's probably not so much a technique thing, just an experience thing and positional type thing. He'll get there.
Yeah, very beneficial to him. He's playing outside Gago. So that's good for him.
Philip Semi, unremarkable for me. He hasn't.
The
really
kicking
lacks,
game exposed him a little bit.
Yeah, didn't show the pace you'd probably want to see out of the position. I think they defended pretty well down their side. Besides of course, Hunt missing a few inside them. But overall, him against Adokar, mismatch.
The centres?
Yep. So centres we had Catewell and Gagai, obviously.
As we've alluded to before, we thought they're both really good.
Yeah, I think probably the best players for Queensland had the most chances to make things happen for the team.
I think
just didn't get enough quality ball, and then Queensland didn't know.
I think Capewell might have been their best on. Yeah.
He dropped the ball late in the game, but they were trying to attack at that point. They were trying to make something happen. So I'll give him a pass. But overall, they looked the most dangerous, the most likely for Queensland.
All right, so then at 5'8" and halfback, we had Munster and Cherry Evans.
Yeah, big loss for Munster. I thought DCE did the best he could in the situation.
Yeah, I didn't think DCE was bad. I don't know, just didn't have that X factor.
They got no ball. Probably didn't help either.
That's hard when you're not. Yeah, when you lose your 6.
Talking about that platform, don't have that platform, the forward platform to win work off. Not getting enough ball. It's they did the best they could. I thought their kicking could have been a little bit better. They didn't find the ground enough until the last 20 minutes. Because the Adokar and Tedesco were just killing them on the run backs as well.
Mm-hmm. Moving through to the forward pack.
Yep. So props we had Louis and Parley.
Yeah. I thought Papa's going to Papa, so he did his job. Louis, I think he's had better games for the Raiders, so could have probably wanted a bit more out of him.
Yeah, he had 7 runs, 46 metres, 17 tackles. Kind of underwhelming stat line there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at hooker we had Friend.
Who we've spoken at length about.
Yeah, we'll cover Friend.
Yep. And then so second row we had Kafusi and Sua.
I thought Jaden actually had a pretty good game. I thought Tino was good until, of course, he got sent off.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with those guys in the second row. I think he can build around them. They just
Jaden can put a hit on, can't he?
Yeah.
Sua. Yeah.
He's got good. They both have good little footwork as well. So,
yeah.
They're guys you want to build around. I think they can definitely be good players going forward for Queensland.
And Sui and Kafusi obviously called on to tackle a lot. Made 39 and 36 tackles respectively.
Yeah, had to.
Yep. And then lock we had Tino Sumalawi.
Try again. You had it before.
I had it before. I've lost it now.
Try.
Sumalawi.
Fasua Malawi.
Malawi.
We're just trying to say it like Rab says it, so it's probably not even right. But shout out to Rabs, I'm sure you're listening.
Yeah.
Bench, we thought might have been a little bit of a difference here between the Blues. Who was off the bench for the Maroons?
Well, Hunt, of course, so he had to come and play 6.
Claiming
so you got to remember they played with 3-man bench for the rest of the game too. So.
Correct.
And then we had Lindsay Collins, Jai Arrow, and Moaki
Fatawaki.
Yeah, so I don't think he was overly good. I thought Lindsay Collins was excellent.
Yeah,
he was probably the best forward for me. He just looked very damaging in what he was doing. And of that middle 40 section where he was on, he was the best forward by far of what Queensland had out.
And Jai Arrow somewhere in between those two?
Yeah, he did enough Jai Arrow, but I think they were struggling. Only having 3 of them in that rotation probably didn't help. Missing a key kind of substitution. But it was interesting because we kind of alluded in game 1 where they went with the spine of 4 guys, with Hunt out there and still having Munster in that on the field, and Friends, that they couldn't maybe do that game plan. So Queensland might have lost their game plan very early on and kind of lost their way. And it really wasn't towards the end of the game that they kind of got back to that and got back to where they needed to be. Mm-hmm. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with game 3. And it might all really depend on who they play at 6.
Game 3 predictions? I've got a feeling I know with the way this is going to go.
Queensland, hopefully.
I'm just looking at this stat line here. So Queensland have won 11 of the past 13 games played at Suncorp.
Pretty impressive. Yeah. And I wonder if when you narrow that down to deciders, as we spoke about before, New South Wales hasn't won an Origin decider at Suncorp since 2005. It's 15 years there. And then the one before that was 94.
I believe that was the stat they were saying.
Once every sort of 10-year type thing.
So they're due.
Yeah, exactly. New South Wales is as everyone has said, that they've got more experience. On paper, they're the better side.
They're the better side of them too.
You can't rule out Queensland in Queensland. I'm going to go the Blues, but I think it'll be a very close encounter.
Yeah. It's a perfect kind of encounter, I think, for Queensland as well. Underdog in Queensland, home decider. It's exactly what they want. So Wayne and Mel will have them G'd up and ready to go. And like you say, I think it'll be close. It could be like last year where it was 2020 with 30 seconds to go, and just a moment of magic from one guy would be the difference.
Yeah, it could do. I just got to convince the futsal boys to forfeit next week. I don't think we're missing an Origin decider, but anyway, see how we go.
They can go without a goalie for a week.
The giraffe and goals.
That's right.
So to finish off the NRL news before we move into some AFL was Adokar has been denied his release. Mm-hmm. West were chasing him for a little bit of extra money. We want to get in the Storm. The Storm said no go. He's going to stay. So Josh will be at the Storm next year. I think that's the last year in his contract.
Yeah, last year in his contract, so he'll play that out. He's on about $500,000.
Yeah.
I think the Tigers were sort of offering 600. There was rumours that we were speaking about last week with South that they obviously dropped off. Yeah, it would be interesting to see if it does affect his gameplay. He's obviously, like we've spoken about, we think he's the best winger in the world of rugby league at the moment. Does he sort of drop off a little bit next year? Who knows? Or maybe he just has a blinder and tries to get paid in 2022.
It'll be interesting after next year if, say, Cam plays one more, then retires. Craig leaves because his contract's up. He's not going to contract anymore. Addo-Carr leaves. Man, what's that? Monster's going to be hanging on there. He's going to shit. Who am I playing?
A lot of it will come down to the coach. Yeah. I think Bellamy stays for a bit longer, but that's a discussion for another day.
Definitely.
We'll move on to the aerial ping pong.
Mm-hmm. So AFL trade day.
Huge day.
So the deadline being 8 p.m. today.
Yeah, current time of broadcast is about 9 p.m. So we've been in a frenzy trying to keep up with all the trading action in today's last day.
Yep.
I'll quickly run through the major moves.
Yep.
So first, cab off the ranks, Big Ben Brown, as we've spoken about in the last few weeks, finally did get traded from North Melbourne over to the Melbourne Football Club. There's been plenty of speculation regarding that in the last few weeks. I think he'll have a big impact at Melbourne. He's a pretty quality player, and they really have lacked a good key tool. So Bailey Fritsch, top score, led their goal kicking this year with 22 goals. He's a smaller forward. They've got Petrarca, who plays really well when he goes up forward, but this gives them a nice target. I think in return, the Roos will get picks 26 and 33 and a future fourth rounder. So I think that's a pretty good trade for the D's.
Yeah, solid pick up for the D's, definitely.
Yeah, you'd say, he's better than a 26 pick, in my opinion. Also, the Roos lose Jack Higgins. He goes over to the Saints. There was a few draft picks involved with that trade. We won't get into the nitty gritty, but he's a really good ball getter, Jack Higgins. The Roos look like they could be in real strife this year. They're obviously looking, to develop some younger guys.
Yeah, gone young. Very much like GWS by the sounds of it.
Yeah,
and Essendon.
But the Roos have sort of been pretty poor already. I think they might be some serial cellar dwellers this year. Sorry, Shinboner fans. So the Brisbane Lions have picked up Geelong's Nakia Cockatoo. He hasn't played much footy recently, but he was a former number 10 draft pick.
Got some talent.
Yeah, indeed, and very explosive small forward. So that was for a third round selection, which is tied to Melbourne. The Lions also lose Alex Witherden, the defender. He's going over to Perth to play for the West Coast Eagles.
Yeah, I think we kind of alluded to that Brisbane are kind of trying to rebuild that forward pack. And, again, a project player to bring over, but you put it in that system and you try to build them up. See if McStay or Hipwood's your guy. I've completely forgotten the name of the Essendon bloke that's coming up.
Joe Danaher.
Joe Danaher, bring in another good quality forward, then bring in some guy and another cockatoo that's got talent and the injury history, and see if he can build that forward pack, because that's really needed. They need goal kickers.
Yeah, and Brisbane is renowned for rehabilitating guys. So, it'd be interesting. It's a pretty stacked forward line if they can all be healthy. Obviously, there's that injury cloud around Joe Danaher as well. Hasn't played much footy over the past few years. But if they're all healthy and the forward line looks like Danaher with Cockatoo and Charlie Cameron feeding off him, as well as Hipwood and maybe McStay, Mick Luggage sometimes presses forward, Jared Berry sometimes presses forward.
Cameron Rayner as well.
Cameron Rayner, who was a number one draft pick. They're pretty fucking stacked in that front six. They're obviously looking to improve on their goal kicking, which has sort of let them down over the past few years.
It makes sense when you look at their midfield and the amount of ball they're probably getting into the forward half. It's like you're getting quality ball, you're getting good service. You need to transfer that into points.
Exactly.
You can't just kick 10, 20 behinds every fucking day.
And their back six is sneaky good. Harris is probably the best fullback in the game. Dan Rich, I think, is really underrated. I think they're obviously trying to improve at their weakest spot, which has been converting forward entry into points.
Yeah. Could put them over the edge. But enough about Brisbane.
enough about Brisbane. We'll go to another team with a little bit of personal interest. The Carlton Blues. They have picked up Adam Saad. We've been sort of covering this a little bit over the past few weeks.
Now official.
A lot of speculation. It's come to fruition on the last day of the trade deadline. So the Blues will give up pick 87 and wait for it. Pick 8 for Adam Saad. Thoughts here, boys? Saad's a good player. Is he worth a number 8 draft pick?
Well, since you're a fan of the Blues, it probably sounds like they've paid overs just like the Dragons do.
Yeah, it's weird that you mention it. I hadn't linked the two, but now it does make sense. It's kind of like, oh man, like Saad's a handy player. Don't get me wrong, but if you look at top 10 players in drafts,
I can see why Estes didn't agree to this. They were like, shit, yeah, if you want to give us 8, we'll take it.
Yeah. So maybe Carlton's really trying to push for 2021, 2022, whilst they've got Cripps being a sort of top 5 guy in the league.
Do you think Carlton maybe's got a bit of youth fatigue? Because, for a very long time, we'll draft young guys, we'll draft good talent, we've got great picks,
maybe
and
they
then try to build the team.
Yeah.
And they've, overall that the last, 10, 15 years, they really haven't had success with that strategy.
No, maybe they need to bring in someone with that little bit of experience.
They're throwing their hands up and going, well, we can't pick any good players, we might as well buy some good ones.
It just seems strange off half back, though, where they've got guys like Sam Doherty and Cade Simpson will be gone next year. So maybe that's just trying to fill his boots.
Yeah,
but
maybe spending their money in the wrong spots.
Possibly. Time will tell. The Bombers have, after all their trades with Danaher and Saad going, they've got 3 first-rounders.
In the top 10.
Yeah, so I think next year they'll be really bad.
Yep.
But then 22, 23, 24, they're obviously going to have 3 elite young guys. So maybe looking, as
trying to do what the Lions did 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, they're having that 5-year plan type thing. It sort of hasn't really been working for them. Let's invest in the future, and I think 2021 might be.
Where did they finish this year?
They
didn't finish in the 8, did they?
No, they didn't finish in the 8.
They were like 10th or something.
Yeah, they were there or thereabout. Like, they weren't bad. My phone's dead.
13th.
Yeah, so they did fall off a little bit. Yeah. Because they were 9th or 10th a lot of the year. I think that just right at the end there, they fell off.
Yeah, they had a 4-game losing streak right at the end of the season.
Thanks for that, Monks. The fastest...
That doesn't help you.
Geez, you get those stats up quick. Love it.
Jimmy the Chinaman, the fastest
Jimmy the Chinaman.
in the West.
Where? Or the East?
Or the East, where?
I don't know, it's the internet.
He's in the West now. So.
It's fucking everywhere, the old internet. Big Port Power, they've struck a deal with Alir, one of me and Sarah's favourite players to watch. She's a Swannies fan and obviously can pick out big Alir.
I know why Sarah likes Alir, but anyway.
She says he's got beautiful skin.
Okay. Yes.
Beautiful skin.
Yes.
And I like him for his ability on the football field. He's developed into one of the really good key tall defenders in the AFL. So that will be for a future 2nd round pick.
I think that's a huge gap for Port Adelaide.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah,
considering where that team was at the end of the year, and still adding good quality players and talent for a 2nd round pick.
And Alir has come on a lot in the last 18 months because there's about 2 years ago or 2.5 years ago he was sort of in and out of the side, and it was kind of like, oh, is he the real deal? He's 26 now, and he's just even this year in a struggling Sydney side, which did see a lot of the ball come through their back line, they found a good spot for him going to one of the opposing key talls, and he's really improved. So, yeah, he's a really good get for Port and a big loss for Sydney, and we might have to chuck Sydney along with Essendon and North Melbourne in being most likely amongst the cellar dwellers this year.
Yeah, they'll probably be better those two, considering they've got Buddy still playing there. So
yeah, is he going to be healthy? That's
they can score.
That's a discussion for another podcast, I think, Big Buddy. But yeah, that's again like Brisbane, a really good side picking up a really good player. Surely it's going to help. The rain is pouring down here in the nation's capital.
The rains
Very
are here.
wet.
The rains are here.
So GWS, the big story that we've kind of been following.
Yeah,
the
there's
Jamie
probably
Cameron
the
side.
two biggest trades. They actually happened right at the end of the trade deadline. We're having a look around 5 p.m. The deals hadn't been done. Just prior to broadcast this evening, the trades have gotten done. So as per speculation over the last few podcasts, big Jeremy Cameron, his fishing trip's over. He's getting out of Sydney. He's going down to Geelong. So that will be for picks 13, 15 and 20 for GWS. Mm-hmm. Who comes out the winner in that?
Geelong also get a second, probably to finish it off. So they get Cameron in a second. Well, GWS, you can probably put with those teams we were talking about before about they're going to be garbage next year.
They'd be rebuilding. I think they'll still be okay. I think they've got the depth. They've got the depth, and they've got Jesse Hogan coming in. He's obviously not Jeremy Cameron.
Yep.
But they're trying to. Yeah,
they'll probably flirt with the top 8 this year versus being a top 4 team.
Yeah, I don't think they'll be winning any. I think they missed their opportunity.
Yeah.
Last year and the year before to when they sort of had that flag caliber side. But I don't think they'll be bad. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. So yeah, Geelong, man, they're going to be scary. We've just spoken about
again another good team getting
an elite player and hands down the best player that we've mentioned so far. A forward line with him and the Tomahawk, Tom Hawkins, is bloody scary.
Yeah, well, you look at it, of the 4 teams that finished up the top 4 teams that finished up the year last year, the team that won the comp hasn't been active. The other three have been loading up on weapons, probably because they know, hey, we're going to compete with Hawthorn. With Richmond. We need to go out there and we're going to get some guys and we're going to compete with them.
Yep. So yeah, I suppose a lot of footy fans that aren't diehard Tigers supporters will like to see someone like Port or Brisbane, possibly Geelong, stick it to the Tigers.
It kind of clearly shows to me that all 3 of them go on, well, we need something to put us over the top of the Tigers. How are we going to compete with Dusty and Lynch and Revo, etc.? Who's going to be our big name guys that are going to carry us through? So as we alluded to with Brisbane, we thought they were kind of lacking some of those guys, and hopefully some of those guys that brought in can turn it on, or they can build around, be more supportive and support Lockie Neal and his capability. Same with Port and same with Geelong, just to replace Gary and be able to compete with the Tigers on a year-to-year basis.
Thing that I'm possibly concerned with is does a Tomahawk and Big Jez Cameron get in each other's way a little bit? Do they steal a little bit of ball from each other? Cameron is really quite a good centre half forward in that he's got that ability to push down, onto the wing and get ball around the midfield and then bring it back. But yeah, do they get in their way? Time will tell.
Do you think they may be pushing Hawkins a little bit because he had the last 2 games he was pretty poor kicking wise,
but he had a great year.
Yeah, overall he had a great year.
He had a great year.
Faded late, but whether
I disagree with that. I don't think you try and push a Coleman medalist over 2. He had that one game where he kicked 0 goals 5. Then the rest of the final series he wasn't too bad.
Well, the game after that I think he kicked 2-4. So
could have been better. I think
he could have been better in the 2 final games. Geelong could have been better.
Yeah,
and of course he got no ball in the final.
Yeah, especially not the second half.
Yes.
Yeah. And the last note for today, another massive player that will be swapping jerseys next year is Adam Treloar. As we mentioned last week, there was a little bit of uncertainty about his future at the Magpies. He'll be heading over to the Western Bulldogs, along with Collingwood's pick 14 for the Dogs' 26, 33 and 42nd picks. Who do you reckon won that one?
Where did Treloar come from? Sorry, I missed it.
From Collingwood.
Well, I think Collingwood might have got the better of this one.
Yeah, I'll go the Dogs. I'll go the Dogs because
they got Treloar in 14. Yeah, the Doggies I think got out of this better.
Yeah. the way we've got the notes set up here is just pretty much a bunch of numbers.
I've just confused myself. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose the way you've got to think of it is Treloar and 14 better than a bunch of mid sort of range guys.
Yes.
Treloar is an elite midfielder. Constantly gets 30 touches at the Pies. Obviously, getting fed by Brodie Grundy, the premier ruckman in the AFL. Maybe getting ball off Tim English might be a little bit of adjustment, but English is coming along, and Treloar obviously gets a lot of ball out in the open field. I think the Doggies come out on top in this one, and their midfield looks scary. They've held on to Josh Dunkley, who was requested a trade to Essendon, obviously with the Bontempelli and McRae in the middle there for the Dogs. Lockie Hunter, they've just got weapons all through that. They're already stacked in the midfield.
When did they win the comp? 3 years ago?
16.
4 years ago.
Or 17, was it?
Might have been 17.
My phone's dead.
I think
We should know this off the top of our heads. This is going to be a little bit of our Christmas trivia, I think. We'll be firing these left, right.
Anyway, my point was going to be that
It's 17. I'm pretty sure it's 17.
they've probably still got a lot of players that played in that premiership that team. So they could just, again, another team that might be just reloaded a little bit to make another run.
I'm surprised.
It was 16.
16 against Sydney Swans.
Yep.
So Swans were good 4 years ago. It seems like a long time ago. I think the Doggies will be dangerous. Possibly their forward line is a little bit lackluster for an elite side. But that's the news out of all the trades. The last little point we've got to make is that the salary cap may be slashed by 10% next year as the league recovers from the old Kung Flu, as the orange man who just lost his job likes to refer to it as. Time will tell what happens there.
Yep.
Should we cross the pond?
Yeah, I think we'll finish up on our AFL chat and then we'll get stuck into our NFL chat for the next 20 hours. So,
There or thereabouts.
I kid. It's interesting you put the Denver game up to start with, but I guess we can go there. So Atlanta beat Denver 34-27. So we'll work through week. It was a week 9 games.
Week 9.
Week 9.
So we'll go through week 9 over the weekend,
9, yep.
and have a preview of week 10 coming up. So the first game we've got listed here is Atlanta versus Denver. As I said, 34-27. Denver did nothing for the first 3 quarters and then scored 20 points in the fourth quarter again. So unreal fourth quarter.
Was it a bit of garbage time defense type thing?
Maybe a bit of Atlanta being Atlanta.
Trying their best to choke, huh?
Yeah, it was a pretty competitive game. Denver's offense is struggling at the moment. I think they got to find that confidence they've got in the fourth quarter and play it to the rest of the game. But it's a very, very young team. They lost their backup tight end for an ACL, so he's gone. So
who's that?
Fant's the only one there. Don't Google it and then don't ask me to say how he say his name. His first name's Albert.
We'll go with Albert. Big Al.
Yeah.
Shout out to Big Al for his.
Did you find the name, James?
What was where am I looking for again? Sorry.
Denver
tight end,
ACL,
Albert.
Tight end.
Yeah.
Big Albert. I don't want to say fat. He's probably not. Well, he's an NFL tight end. He's probably shredded and quick and scary.
Oh, he's like Noah Fant. He's kind of a bit of a cardboard copy. He's not too bad. But the key point on this is probably Denver's D. The entire starting defensive line was second stringers, and they were without their 2 starting corners from the week before that played against the Chargers.
Yeah,
so,
and as you alluded to last week on the show, a really banged up Denver defense against a fairly explosive Atlanta offense was always going to be difficult.
I was hoping that some of those guys would play, but they've got head knocks or injuries, and they're out. So, hey, the score probably doesn't show how competitive they were. They were a bit better than that, but overall, it's hard to stop someone like Atlanta and the weapons they've got.
Yeah.
When your defense of your starting 11's probably got 4 starters there left.
Yeah. Good job on us, boys, actually. I think if you replay the tape, we said if the Falcons score 30, they win. They scored 34, and I believe we tipped the...
I think we said overs and 30-30 for this game.
Yeah. So right on the money there.
Yep.
What we weren't on the money on was the next game.
Bills beat Seahawks, and then The final score in this, with them only losing by 10, so 44-34, kind of didn't allude to the fact that I think Bills dominated most of this game, and they had a 20-point lead at one point.
They sure did, yeah.
A bit of a coming out game. Allen, going back to week 3 and 4, Allen. Form, he's gone back, got into form, played a much better game. Seahawks, I think, kind of struggled. Didn't really have much in the run, and I kind of thought this guy might be concerned. I got DK on my fantasy team, but knowing that they've got White and Norman over there playing corner for them, they got good cornerbacks, and they've got a decent overall, a pretty good defense. And the Seahawks, of course, struggled. They scored 34 points, but
it was the 2 picks, I think. Russell had thrown 6.
MVP Russell.
6 beforehand. Was something we'll get to. Last week I said that Russell is probably the unanimous best player in the NFL. I think there's an argument that Mahomes is maybe having a better season as well. We'll get to that in a sec.
It's close.
An interesting note there, Stephon Diggs leads the league in receiving yards, rather, and DK is number 2. So that was actually a game which featured the top 2 receivers. Number 3, Travis Kelce for receiving yards. Tight end, that is just
he's
bonkers. Yeah.
The Bills at 7-2. That's the first time since '93. That's good for them. Bodes very well for them. I think. They should win that division. The way with
comfortably, there's Miami.
That Miami team.
Yes,
they're smoky.
A smoky.
The other 2, they're
gone. They're gone. Well, the Jets, you could have struck a line through them 4 weeks ago.
We'll talk about the Toilet Bowl Monday game when we get to it.
But the Pats are gone. I think the Bills win that, and Miami is a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah. And we'll talk about the playoff news as well, and they could very well be one of those.
So much to get through. We've only been 4 days in between drinks, and just the world of sports, it just keeps on chugging along.
It's good. There's lots happening.
The next game there was?
So next up we had Tennessee at home beating out Chicago 24-17.
This was a really good effort again by us boys. It's pretty rare. We had a big donut on the Bills-Seahawks game. We said this game would be around 40 points. It was 41.
Yep.
And we all picked the Titans, so we all did pretty well there.
Yeah.
Big Dig Nick, he had a pretty good game in a losing side, 350 yards.
He seems to be getting better. So
yeah.
I know we've been talking about quarterbacks that they possibly build around. It sounds like Trubisky's his day is done.
He's gone, isn't he?
And maybe they could build around Foles. Like, you're now in that kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Your D's awesome. Give Foles a few weapons, and maybe you have a run next year.
Is their O-line no good, or is David Montgomery no good? Or is it both?
Both.
Yeah, because every time you check this Montgomery stat line, he's like, he never busts for more than 3 yards a carry. He barely scores touchdowns. He doesn't get involved in the passing game.
Yard and puff of dust. Like, he's not getting...
Yeah.
Whether he just doesn't have the vision, just too much wear and tear, the NFL games just doesn't suit him, unfortunately.
And I think, like we said, it is both. If you put him behind, say, Dallas's offensive line, Zeke probably hasn't been killing it as much as
Dallas's healthy offensive line. They're missing two guys on
healthy offensive line, or the Colts' offensive line. The Vikings have been blocking really well for Dalvin Cook. So. Yeah. Behind one of them, maybe it's a different story, but just haven't seen much out of David Montgomery in his young NFL career.
No.
The next game was?
Moving on. So next game we had Baltimore beating out Indianapolis 24-10 in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm. Ravens played good Ravens football. There's been a little query on them this year. They're not quite the Ravens of last year. Looking
at that game statistically, you would be like, it's not impressive. You're like, you won by 25 points, and your stats are like,
they scored 24 points. They won by 2 touchdowns.
Yes. So, but their stats kind of show, how did you get these points? Like, they were decent, but not spectacular. I'm not sure. You got Dez? Did Dez have any?
I think he had 2 snaps or something.
Snaps? Yeah, I don't think he played over much. No. So they're going to ease him into it, but we'll have to see.
No.
Didn't bother the scorekeeper.
The next game, though, that was an interesting one.
Oh, yeah.
So
Which was?
On. So moving on to Kansas City at home, beating out Carolina 33-31.
Carolina led parts of this game too.
Pretty much to the end of the third quarter.
Yeah.
The return of Run CMC was huge.
Yeah.
Short return though.
Very short. Yeah, did leave. I think he finished the game, but
He played most of the game, yeah.
Yeah, had a sore shoulder and is set to actually miss this week.
That's
Mike Davis getting a call off the Pest Mongrels bench. They held on to him for a reason. Yeah, what a difference he makes. And Teddy Bridgewater is having there's talk that he might be a breakout player of the year this year in the NFL because
he's doing what he needs to do.
Yeah,
and I think that you were talking before about receiving leaders. I think Robbie Anderson's 5th or 6th.
Yeah, he's right up there.
So he's having a good game.
Curtis Samuel's played really well.
So I was just going to say, I think Samuel again add that in there, but losing CMC early has kind of brought on some of these other guys like Rodney and Curtis Samuel and bring him into the game. So having the fact that they didn't have reliance on CMC to get 30, 40 touches a game, they've now spread the load a bit better. So it might have helped them in the long run.
Yeah.
Maybe not this year, but next year,
Yeah, and take the load off him because he's an absolute horse, and that's probably why he does get injured a fair bit. Is the load. I've been absolutely stitched up here by the monkey magic. So we've got the 6-pack of VBs up here. They're all attached. They've got the little black capping on it, the one that kills the turtles and that. And I've cracked one and it's green and I'm taking a sip. It's a bloody IPA. It's 6.1% bloody West Coast IPA. Some hipster shit, but I'll get it down my guts.
It's been sitting in the fridge for a while.
But how did you get it in the same 6-pack? Like it was literally a part of that 6-pack.
I've just been recycling that lid.
Oh, the lid. It's good. So you're not killing the turtles at least.
No, I'm not. I'm recycling. I'm being responsible.
Good man.
Monkey Magic over here.
I've only had one sip.
I'll have that one. I'll switch you for a BB.
Luckily, he's only got to walk about 70 metres to go home. So very responsible here on the Esky.
Chiefs, overall, they win this game. Mahomes, I think, had a pretty good game. Maybe they started off slower and then they finished this game a lot stronger.
Yeah. So as we spoke, or as I mentioned before, we were kind of riding the Russ train last week, saying he's going to be the MVP. After the conclusion of this game, Russ stands at 28 TDs, 8 interceptions, and Paddy's 25 TDs through 9 weeks of football, 1 pick.
Yep.
One time he's thrown the ball to the other team. That's crazy.
We'll have to look at what Rodgers was because he was 24-2 last week.
Yeah, I think he might be 26-2 now.
Yeah. So
there's some unreal quarterback play, and there's going to be some sorts of records broken this year, you'd imagine. If the passing record doesn't go, possibly some sort of ratio record might go because Mahomes is on track to go 50-2.
Yep.
Not saying that's going to happen. It probably won't, but that's what he's on track for, and that is bananas.
Yeah. I think Matt Ryan still leads the league in
passing yards. Yeah.
So overall, for quarterbacks, they're having a good year.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think this one, to finish it off, Chiefs, we picked Chiefs and then went overs as well. So
bang, bang.
Yeah, you can thank us for that one later.
Hope you all loaded up on it because I didn't. It's hard punting on those 5 a.m. games. Like, I've very, very rarely.
You got to put it in the night before.
You got to do it the night before. And then if you win, you kind of like, unless you've made an effort to get up and watch it, it works okay for the second half.
Yeah.
But half the time you wake up and it's like the end of the third quarter and you're like, we've fucking lost my money already. So tend to stick clear of those early start games, but we haven't done bad this last week. So yeah, maybe week 10's. This is where we'll get absolutely no predictions right and there's all kinds of chaos. But
we'll get back on form for us.
We'll see, yeah.
So Vikings Lions, and I think we very much said it's the Cook show, and we were talking about if they couldn't run the ball, that maybe they couldn't chase the points against the Lions. But of course, the opposite was true. They ran all over them, and Cook's having a big year, and they win this game 34-20.
He's got 12 total, 12 rushing touchdowns. He's got, not total. I think he's got 12 rushing touchdowns.
That's pretty good.
So I think he's had 7 in the past 2 weeks, so that kind of helps out a little bit, or 6 in the past.
Because is the record still 21?
No, it's more than that. Monks, if you don't mind, most rushing touchdowns in an NFL season. I've got a feeling it might be like 26. Or it's something pretty ridiculous.
No, 28. I knew LT had the record. I just couldn't remember.
Was it 28?
Yeah, 28.
That is insane. That's nearly 2 a game.
Yeah, the year in 06 where they had the best team in the league and then didn't win the Super Bowl. So. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, not much more to that.
Yeah.
Both those teams won't be playing playoffs, but shout out to Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
We've mentioned all the great quarterback play. He's, along with Kamara, been those two way out in a league of their own for running backs. Before you get to guys like, Henry and Zeke, Nick Chubb, yada yada.
Yep. So next up we had New York Giants beating Washington football team.
In the toilet bowl there.
So I think the interesting story about this was Alex Smith. So Kyle Allen gets hurt early, breaks leg, done for the year. Alex Smith will be the starter going forward for the rest of the year.
Broke same bone as Alex Smith.
Wow.
Erie, same field.
Yeah.
Yep. The initial
Not
reports
as bad.
it's pretty hard to break your leg like Alex Smith did it. Coming off a
same bone, same location.
Coming off a motorbike or a parachuting accident. Like he had a freakish injury, so unreal to see him back out there
afterwards.
Yeah. I think we've mentioned it before on the Esky. Nearly lost his leg. So to see him back out there playing football is amazing.
But he had a pretty good game in this too. I think. What was he? Was he 20 or 23 or something like that? Like his percentage overall was very, very good.
Yeah.
So he was 24 for 32.
Okay.
That's still like 70%.
Yeah. He threw 2 late picks, which they were, I think, were down in this game 20-3.
Yeah, they were down big,
and then Smith came into the game and actually got him back into it. Hooked my boy McLaurin up with a good touchdown.
Yeah, nice moves from McLaurin on that touchdown. He looked to be looked like a simple catch, and the defense cleans it up, and he just a little, and he was gone off to the races. He's very fast.
Yeah, chasing this team down. Of course, Alex threw 2 poor interceptions late to lose this game, where they definitely had options to win this game. And I'm thinking, Alex is going to be star the rest of the year, veteran quarterback. They've got a little bit of talent on offense. Their defense, about the same. They could be in a chance to win this division. They've still got a lot of opportunities.
Well, they're only 2 games behind Philadelphia, aren't they?
2 or 1?
They're only 1.
One.
So Phillies 3 and 4. Washington
with the draw.
2 and with the draw. Sorry,
and Washington 2 and something. So
they're a game and a half behind. Yeah. You can win this. You can win that division, as we've said before, at 7 and 9, and definitely at 8 and 8.
Yeah, and if 2 teams are going to get out of this division, like they may be talking about, like Washington, I think is in the driver's seat now. They're really only competing with Philly, and I think they could beat Philly. Like,
what about the Cowboys? Let's look at them. We could skip.
Well, we'll skip down the Cowboys. Where are the Cowboys?
They led the we.
Oh yeah.
They led.
How did they lead this game against the Steelers?
I think 13-0 at one point. They led this game.
They're in front for a lot of it.
Yeah, at the midway through the third, I'm pretty sure the Cowboys were leading this. And then the Steelers finally turned it on and
just having an off night, maybe.
Managed to scrape away a 24-19 victory and stay undefeated.
Maybe it's they had the Rona.
Or maybe that was it. Because it's come out and Big Ben's got it. Half their offense has got it.
Yeah.
It's going to be massive implications for their upcoming game.
Yep.
They've already had games rescheduled because of the Rona.
Not because of them, but because of the Titans. So they had their first game.
So that's where they got it from, you reckon? Or someone in the organisation got it?
It's been a couple of weeks since that. I think that was like week 3. So, yeah, it's who knows? But
I'm gonna got a bone to pick. I got a bone to pick,
Go
and
for it.
It's with the NFL players, and it's more they're just trying to appease the NFL. But why? This year's been crazy. Don't get me started on this year. But why do guys that are tackling each other and they're exchanging sweat and blood and they're spitting on the field? Why do they have to go sit on a sideline and wear a fucking mask? It makes no sense. Oh my God, it's annoying. I shouldn't complain too much because we've gotten through this far of the NFL and there hasn't been any major disruptions. Shouldn't complain. But that's my small bone to pick for this week. It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Across all the sports, it's kind of
dumb. Tua was giving his interview post game with his mask on. You can barely understand what the fuck he's saying. After he's just been out there and he's literally had his hands on one of his boys' gooch. He's been in a huddle with 15, 16, 17 of them, and he's been tackled by another 11, 12, 13, and then he's got to sit in front of the fucking press and wear a mask. Are you kidding me?
He's probably worried about catching something from Dion or something. The other boys in the commentary.
Man.
Michael Strahan, he's just worried.
Rant over. Silly, let's move on. We've got football to talk about.
Yeah. So, Rona could have been one of the points of this. Ben Roethlisberger did go out in this game. He had a scare of his knee injury as well. So Mason Rudolph played a little bit of this in that middle section, and I think Ben played the last quarter when they came back and won.
And as we saw last year, the Steelers without Big Ben is a big difference.
Yeah.
Mason Rudolph, no offense to the guy, but he's not
Big Ben.
He's not Big Ben. So if he's obviously named for this weekend,
Well, 50-50 because he's got Rona as well. So
he won't play then.
Yeah,
No,
I think
he's on that 3-week.
Well, I think
They're going to do 2?
I think it's tests. It depends on all these tests coming up.
Yes. Who knows?
So if he tested positive, I couldn't see in that article.
He's on the list, which means he doesn't necessarily test positive.
So,
he's come into contact with someone that's tested positive.
So I know Vance McDonald did test positive, and Ben sat next to him on the plane home from Dallas.
And they throw the football to each other. And
Yeah. So I think they're
buddies.
close contact. He's staying away from the facility, and they are, of course, testing him. So I'd be interested to see what his results are in the coming days. But big out for them if he's missing, because you can see if a team like the Cowboys can lead you and you're only missing your quarterback, you've got some problems.
Yeah.
Good
place to have problems at 8-0, mind you.
Yeah, got a little bit of wiggle room there.
Yeah, even if they get decimated by, Corona or whatever else, they're still finishing 10-6. Like they're playing playoffs. They've had the best start in Steelers history, which is pretty crazy to think that they're one of the most accomplished clubs in the NFL. They've never actually started a season 8-0.
Wow.
I did see some projections from ESPN of teams that start 8-0. Not many won Super Bowls. Not many. A la Patriots, but there's also been a lot of guys recently. The 49ers were 8-0 last year. The Rams the year before starting 8-0. I don't know if it's just if you peak too early or if it's just some crazy stat. But yeah, often teams that start 8-0. And looking at this year, I guess you'd have Steelers up there and abouts, but you wouldn't have them on the same level as the Chiefs. I wouldn't have them, despite the loss on the weekend, that's the same as the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Even the Packers. So, who knows?
Yeah, I think very much what you say is you want to be good in the back half of the season, not the first half.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to follow how the Steelers go and whether they can keep this together.
Unlike myself, you need to peak later in life.
Yeah. Well, so if you listen to Sarah, you peak early in life, so it's all right.
That's all. That was my point. Very, very devastating bowler in under 10s, and then just not much in once puberty come around. That fucked me up.
I'm just looking at the Steelers' season so far. So they've beaten Giants, Broncos, Texans, Eagles, Browns, Titans, Ravens, Cowboys. Arguably, you're really looking at
2 good teams there.
Yeah, Ravens.
Titans and Ravens.
Right,
yeah.
So, yeah, as much as they're 8-0, it's...
I think they've got the Ravens...
Again, yeah, they've got to play
in 2 weeks or something. That'll be...
a good test for them.
A nice, big test. I did see their run home. There's not many teams that are really going to bother them.
No. So...
COVID or no COVID, they could go 14-2, 15-1.
I think they've got Ravens and Kansas. And that's it.
No Kansas.
No,
so,
I don't,
okay.
I don't think they play the Chiefs.
Yeah, preview into next week, they're up against the Bengals.
Yep.
And then after that, they've got Jaguars, Ravens.
That's 2 wins. If
Ravens.
COVID isn't a thing, they're 10-0.
Yeah.
The Ravens is a big test. And then who else they got?
Yep. So after Ravens, they've got Washington, Bills.
Win, you'd think. Bill, that'll be a good game.
Bills will be a good game.
Against Buffalo.
Bengals again.
Should win.
Colts, then Browns.
Okay.
Maybe towards the end, if they're resting players, Colts and Browns, on that schedule, they should be winning 12 games minimum.
Yep.
Yep.
COVID or no COVID.
Yeah, they've only got 2, like we said, and that'll be the challenge in that last in that back.
Yeah.
And Ravens and Bills.
Ravens and Bills, yeah.
Ravens Bills. Yeah.
Interesting. Texans and Jags.
Yep. So Jags at home losing to Texans 27-25.
Yeah, I think the big story in this might have been Jake Luton for the Jags quarterback. He was 26 of 38, 304 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Looked good. Got a cannon for an arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll say it was against the Texans, so not the best defense going around at the moment.
So strange that because the Texans, with JJ Watt and
It's all he's got there.
yeah, over the last few years, it's weird to think of them not being a good defense, but they're not a good defense anymore. Yeah.
Well, there's talk about where JJ wants out and where's he going to go. Does he want to go play with his brothers?
Could you imagine
the Steelers?
Could you imagine chucking JJ Watt on arguably the best defense in football?
No, that's a cheat code. That's not fair.
Yeah,
It'd be awesome to see, though.
yeah, it'd be crazy.
wouldn't be. Good for
I think he'd want to do it, but
yeah,
No.
there'd be something. There's always something with brothers.
Yeah. You got to do it. Even if it's for a season, you got to do it at least once.
Yeah.
But Texans lose DJ early in this game through concussion.
And gets replaced by DJ.
Yeah, by Duke Johnson. So,
Very confusing, isn't it? David Johnson and Duke Johnson.
Yep.
But they win by 2 in this game. And we thought they'd probably do a bit better than this. Surprising how well the Jags done. They still got some talent there, like DJ Clark had a big touchdown.
Yeah.
Shark, sorry, yeah. They've got some guys over there. They've got some talent they can use. They've kind of gutted their defense out and send all their blokes all over the place.
Yeah.
So both teams rebuilding, I think, at this point.
Yeah, and neither playoff teams, so probably don't need to talk about that much more. A team that is increasingly looking like it will be a playoff team, that Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, they was against the Chargers, so we'll just say it, Chargers.
We got it wrong.
They went in front and they didn't choke on this one.
That's right. We thought it might be a classic Chargers choke. Didn't happen because the Raiders led the whole game.
Yep.
Herbert, really good again in the losing effort. They had over 300.
Still having a really good rookie year, definitely.
Yeah. 2-horse race for offensive rookie with him and Burrow, you would think. Unless Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes really bonkers in the back end.
Well, Tua has it on a real back end.
Well, yeah, Tua.
Well, we'll talk about the Miami game in a minute because there's actually, we gave him shit for throwing 90-odd yards in the last game. But
very different story.
Very different story this week. But, yeah, the Raiders team, to finish that game, they like to pound the ball and then they'll...
Pound the rock.
Yeah, and then when they need to, they'll complete passes to Waller to score some touchdowns.
Yeah,
so.
he's a freak. Devontae Booker pilfered a few touches off Josh Jacobs, much to the dismay of my fantasy team. Still got away with the win.
It's probably good for Jacob long term.
Yeah, load management.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It's looking more and more like they'll be playing finals football, and he's a really good back.
I think Aguilar...
Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah, I think he scored a touchdown for them as well.
He's been looking pretty good.
Yeah. So, as they're probably best receiver at that team at the moment.
Yeah. Imagine if they had some real big receiving talent. That's a pretty stacked offense.
Well,
and Derek Carr's been he's doing like a old Alex Smith or like a Tannehill kind
Matt
of.
Ryan kind of comparison. Just solid guy that manages the team, gets the ball,
and doesn't turn it over too much. Happy to hand
you
it
can
off
win games with him
to his horses. Yeah, he's been really good this year.
Yeah, I think they miss they're missing Ruggs, of course. Who's struggling with the hamstring, which not unexpected for a bloke that runs as quick as he does. There's always a risk with Ruggs, but if they can get him back and then get some other talent in the receiving core, then it could be dangerous.
Miami.
Yep. So next up we had Miami beating the Cardinals 34-31. Sorry.
This was a great game.
It was the best game of the round, and we kind of highlighted the Dolphins as maybe being a smoky alert. We all kind of thought the Cards should win, but the Dolphins are playing good football, and they went out and absolutely spoilt the fun for my punters club, who had the unders in this game. Ended up being 34, 31, 65 points. It was like 49 was the line, so really, and it was a lot of early points as well. Kyler didn't seem too bad.
No, he had a big day.
Yeah.
Had
Yeah.
100 yards on the ground.
Yeah.
Scored a
Yeah.
rushing touchdown through 3 or 4 touchdowns.
Three touchdowns.
yeah.
21 for 26 and 283 yards on the day.
21 for 26. So he's throwing like 80%, running for 100 yards, and they lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finns score again on defense?
They had
Twice.
they have a punt return in this one? Was that the week before? They scored twice on defense, I'm pretty sure.
Well, they definitely scored a fumble recovery, and that was Kyler's fault. He does have that kind of loose lunchbox
That's a risky
carry.
effort.
Yeah.
With, a
And-
smaller guy running the ball.
Yeah, and there
for
was
quarterback,
a strip sack, which got returned early in the game.
And Howard, I think, had an intercept too. So Miami's defense is sneaky good.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I do like them, and they've got a bit of a soft run on the way home as well. I think they've got Chargers this week,
They play the Jets.
and they've got the Jets in 2 weeks. I think they've got
There's
Cincinnati.
No reason why they can't beat the Patriots again.
So yeah,
There's 3 games already. That gets them to 8-8 with an extended finals series.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably playing finals football.
Yep. And in this game as well, and Monkey can say to his stats in a second, but he looked way better. Like
I watched this game.
You could see why maybe they made that switch from Fitzpatrick to him.
Yep.
Because of this game.
This was the 8 o'clock game for our time on a Monday morning, and I was a bit lazy for the 5 a.m.ers, but got up and watched this one. And I was kind of like when I turned on, like, oh, this is a bit of a, I wish I had a better game. And then was really entertained because it didn't disappoint. High scoring, back and forward, lots of big plays, game of the round. And Tua, a completely different player from week before where he had minor involvement.
Yeah, so we had 2 touchdowns on the day for 20 of 28, 248 yards. Was sacked 3 times though.
Mm-hmm.
That's
For a guy
That's not
that
too
moves the ball. Weird watching a lefty.
yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
It's your eyes kind of like, oh, is the TV back to front or what's going on? There's something about, like, you think about cricket where like lefties really thrive. Yeah. I suppose the way that it's set up for the offensive line to block for a lefty and for the receivers to catch from the lefty, it really does favour right-handed quarterbacks. So to see lefty in action, I'm not going to make the Vic comparison, but
It's different, completely different player to what Michael Vick is.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, it did kind of remind me of.
He did show his legs a little bit in this game too.
Yeah.
Which is a bit surprising for him. Everyone kind of thought that Tua coming out, he's a pocket QB. Don't worry about the hip injury at all. You'll be right if you pick him.
And funny you mentioned that horrific injury to come back from. So just happy for the bloke to be out there playing good football and
Looks good.
Yeah. You remember before that hip injury, he was everything in college football.
Yep.
So yeah, nice to see him out there.
Yeah. So on the ground he had 7 carries for 35 yards.
Yeah.
Which is, it was good for them on the day.
For sure. They come away with a W. And as we've said, look like they might be playing some playoff football.
So we'll go to the Sunday night game and James's favourite game of the week.
Shut up.
How did the Saints and Bucks do?
From the game of the week to the letdown of the week.
Yeah,
What was the
so
scoreline, Monks?
Bucks at home losing to the Saints 38-3.
Yikes. That got a hit.
Yep.
Yeah.
That field goal coming late in the 4th quarter, I believe, as well.
To avoid the shutout.
Old pride field goal.
That it was.
Yeah, really, I've always said the secondary for the Bucks have been weak has been the weakest part of the defense, and it really showed this week.
Yeah, their front seven's pretty good.
Yeah. Winfield, I think, is not bad as a safety, but
Yeah, they're saying he might be a smoky for defensive rookie of the year.
but I think,
Their corners,
and I don't think their front seven helped them at all in this game. They could get no pressure.
No.
JPP and Shaq Barrett got nothing. Like it was, I think in the end they had 1 sack on the day. So Breeze had all day to throw it, so he had plenty of time to pick his passes and then just hit Kamara whenever he needed to.
Yeah.
That's it.
To the T, by the way.
Yeah. To the point where I think they both sat the last 2 series of this game, which helped my fantasy team because I didn't have to play against them.
And
big blowout.
Yes, Saints as well. Their D We said sneaky good a couple of weeks
I think
ago,
they're
but
maybe
legit,
legitimate good.
Yeah. Got a lot of pressure on Brady. Got 3 picks.
3 picks, yep.
Most for him since
3 sacks for 23 yards.
Yeah, since 2011.
That's pretty crazy, eh? Not throw 3 picks in 9 years.
Yeah.
Goat stuff.
That's why he's the goat.
He's old. He's not washed up, but he's looking old. But obviously the goat. So weird because the Bucks go out and pump the Packers.
Have an okay game the following week and then get dominated here against the
Well, I
Saints.
think the warning signs were there in that Giants game.
Yeah, maybe.
Because the Giants,
it's the Giants.
The Giants got out to a lead and the Bucks sort of snuck away with the win there. Maybe, the writing might have been on the wall. Hopefully see Tampa Bay bounce back. As we were saying, they might have the best receiving core ever assembled.
Well, that's probably the problem because you look at it like where were their issues? Is one, we're talking about their defense couldn't get pressure, couldn't cover properly, but then on the offensive side of the ball, where's that problem? I think Fournette was good, Ronnie Jones was good, their offensive line maybe could have been better. They've got all the receiving options, so who's the bloke passing them the ball? Yeah, he threw 3 picks, probably had his worst game in this decade. So it really stops with him.
Playing a little bit like a 43-year-old.
Yeah. We were talking about Breeze being old.
I mean, on that, so Tampa Bay had minus Blaine Gabbert's kneel to close out the game at the end. Ronald Jones, in total, Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette carried 4 times. Ronald Jones got 9 yards on the day.
Yeah. Went away from the run. I think...
how many rushing attempts they have total?
4.
They ran the ball 4 times and a kneel.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's... even if you're behind,
they got behind quick.
But even when you're behind, if you're going 4 wide and, you've got to force 6 defensive backs on the field...
Yep.
And you got 5 in the box, just a little handoff, 5 on 6.
Especially when you got Fournette.
Yeah, Fournette. Ronald Jones has been unreal.
He's been really good for them.
And that's Bruce Arians for you, isn't it? He just goes, fuck it.
He definitely likes to air it out.
Yeah.
So speaking of that receiving core, AB did play his first game. I think he had 2 catches.
So he had 5 targets, 3 catches for 31 yards.
Yeah, he's bad.
He made one really good grab up the seam. So you could see the potential there. But yeah, they might need some parity on offense so they can, some balance so they can get some guys a bit more open than what they were.
Is Brady's on a 2-year deal, isn't he?
Yep.
Interesting. Very interesting. They'll stick with him out of respect and the money that they spent.
Well, compared to where they were last year with Winston to where they are now, funny story because Winston played for the Saints and finished this game. But you think, Tom Brady gives you a window. You got 2 years, that's your window.
Yeah, that's the window.
You've got your guys. They've definitely got the talent there. Their defense maybe could use 1 or 2 extra guys, but maybe that's this offense. You fix that, and then you make another run. But you're going to be number 2 in this division. You're probably going to be the 6th. Could be the 5th or 6th seed easily. They're going to be up there. They'll finish with more than 10 wins, I think, on the season.
Yeah, I agree with that. Has anyone got Brady's numbers there?
Yeah.
Because he threw 3 on the weekend, but
for the season.
I think for the season he only got 7. Like he hasn't been bad outside of that game.
Yeah.
And he still has...
Off the top of my head, the majority of his interceptions are against the Saints.
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
So they've met twice now. The Saints have won both those encounters?
Yes. Yeah. Real quick. So for the season, he's thrown 7 intercepts. 5 have been to the Saints.
5 to the Saints.
There you go. Good
So
memory.
he's 20. He's 20-7 this year.
See, 20-7 is not bad. We're ragging on. I suppose it's just the expectation of it being TB12. 20-7. If Josh Allen's say 20-7, or Derek Carr, these guys that we're quick to pat on the back for having good years.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, they're going good. And when Brady's 20-7, oh god, what's going on? But
first game this year, he's under 60% completion as well.
said,
It's just a bad day.
Bad day.
Let's say it's a bad day and see what happens.
Goats have bad days.
Yeah. And as much as I love the Bucks, like I think that's it for the NFC South. Like you can't get past the Saints. Like,
Yeah.
You'll gear up and hopefully maybe not have to play them in the finals. But if you do, you've had 2 previous meetings, learn your lessons and see what you can.
Well, the Saints were scary years ago when they had no defense. So the fact that they've got a good defense now, and Breeze doesn't have to be that 400-yard passer. He can hand off to Kamara. He can dump off to Kamara, game manage. If he doesn't turn the ball over, they're going to win games like that. He only had 220 passing yards.
Yeah, well, Mike Thomas is his first game back. He had 5 of 51. So, again, kind of follows that storyline.
Yeah, not huge numbers. Good to see him back out there. Wouldn't mind a little more out of him on a personal level.
Oh, it's 10 points. That's all right.
Yeah, that's right.
Double digits. But anyway. We'll finish up with the last game for this week, which was the Pats escaping against the Jets.
The undercover toilet bowl. When, again, we highlighted this. We said the Jets could push the Patriots. They led for the majority of that game.
Yeah.
I watched a bit of this as well. Cam Newton, outside of a quarterback sneak, doesn't look too good. Jacoby Myers coming along as a receiver for him. Edelman being out, obviously, is hurting.
Yeah, I was going to say, who's he throwing the ball to?
NQ Harry's been out as well.
Like, I think they're struggling for options. Their defense, of course, is missing all their stars. So, yeah. They escaped against the Jets, and Adam Gase still has a job. Don't know how. But, yeah, overall, the Jets are still bad.
They are, and they go, unfortunately, to 0-9.
Yeah.
May not win a game this year.
I think they'll win a game or 2, but they're not winning 3 or 4.
No.
That's it for the week 9 wrap up. Monks,
Yep.
do you mind bringing us through week 10? Do you want to speak about that now? Or?
Yeah, well, before we jump into the week 10, we might mention the only other kind of story big in the NFL news was they're considering expanding the playoffs again. So it's from 14 to possibly 16. I think it's kind of it's another contingency measure depending on if was it serious games? What was the word there? Significant. That's the one. I knew it was an S word. It wasn't shithouse. So significant significant games that need to be played. So my thinking on that and that wording is it's probably those games that would be for a seed. So say you're 9-6 and you've missed a game. That you need to hey, you could be a playoff team. You need to play this other team you've missed to then possibly make your position. But it's interesting, if they move it to 16, that basically means the top 2 teams of every division will make playoffs. Maybe 3 teams from one division.
Yes, they wouldn't structure it like that, though, would they?
No, I don't think they would structure it that way. It'd be the top 8 seeds.
Yep.
Yeah. So
and then the next best 8.
The NFC West could have 3 guys from. Maybe they have all 4.
Maybe 4.
Yeah, they could have all 4 from the division, which would be unreal. But that it leads to that kind of idea. I don't mind it. All teams are playoffs. It's TV deals need to get our games on. If we miss games, we got to make sure we get our games happen. So they've got their week 18 sitting there ready to be used. But if more games get pushed out and more games get missed, then they've got another playoff team round thing they could do.
That's it. It'd make it interesting as well because, obviously depending on how it all works out and stuff, but as it stands at the moment, it could mean, teams like the Browns could make it into playoffs, which you'd probably never think you'd have in a conversation at any time in your future.
Recently. Not recently. For me, I'll put it down to 2 words. More football.
So just to finish off on the Jets talk, they got the Chargers this week. So Chargers win. They got Dolphins. So Dolphins win.
Yeah.
Raiders win. Seahawks.
They're not winning that.
Rams.
Not winning that.
Browns.
Probably not.
Maybe sneak that one, but I doubt it. And they finish the year against Patriots.
Round 17. Cam's washed up.
That could be the only game they win this year is Patriots in week 17.
Has there been 0-16 teams in the past?
Yeah, Lions are the only one.
Yeah. Well, You're confident there?
For an 0-16 team, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think there's one or two teams that were the 0-14 before they expanded the league.
Uh-huh.
But I know for certain
In the
that
modern
the
era.
Lions were the only
I
0-6.
tend to remember that. Yeah, I'll say they win.
Browns went close a few times.
Yeah, very close.
Yeah.
And the ones
Well, how many
one game late.
How many times were they 2-14 or 1-15? More than Cleveland fans would like to remember.
I know that might have been when they made the playoffs. I remember LeBron was celebrating. I can't remember if that was because they won a game, or it was their first year of Baker and they made the playoffs. But anyway, they were celebrating like they'd won the Super Bowl, but they won a game. Anyway, week 10. What do we got, Monkey?
So we'll run through this quickly.
What's our Friday night? What's tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow's game.
I'm conscious of time, so we'll try and keep it succinct.
All right, so we might just go win losses here. So tomorrow we've got Indianapolis at Tennessee.
Great game.
Yeah, not
hard
Collar
to pick. Hard to pick.
Tennessee.
Yeah, from what I've seen.
In an
current form.
unders game. Let's go. I'm thinking like a 27-20 game.
That might be overs depending on the line.
True. Good point.
I wouldn't be touching lines in this, nor would I be touching the result. I think it'd be a great game. Colts defense is pretty good against Derrick Henry, who is unreal. Did get slowed down by the Bears in that win on the weekend.
Colts need to prove they're for real.
The one thing I saw, if anyone wants to have a little tickly-do, AJ Brown, $2.10 to score a touchdown, has scored a touchdown in the last 5 games since returning from injury.
Yeah. Good bet.
Yep.
Put your life savings on it, baby.
Okay, $50 on AJ Brown to score. Come on.
Yeah. Tennessee for me.
Yep. Yeah, Tennessee. So moving on. So we've got Houston at Cleveland.
Cleveland. I think this might be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, I think so too.
Another 30-30 kind of game.
Never really know what you're going to get with the Browns. The Texans only just got past the Jags.
Both can't defend.
With a quarterback in his first game, I'll go Browns and overs.
Yeah.
Browns.
Yeah,
Yep.
Browns.
Yep. So after that, we've got Washington at Detroit.
I think this could be a good game. Alex Smith with a full game of practice as his first stringer.
Obviously.
I think the Lions maybe have more points in them than Washington, but Lions can't defend the run, as Dalvin Cook proved.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Antonio Gibson and J.D.
McKissick.
Yeah, that's the one, McKissick, might have a big day. So I think it's going to be closer than people think.
I go football team here. I think they're trending upwards.
Yep.
Definitely.
And I can also correct you next week because I can say the football team won. Just not the Washington football team.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to back the football team.
Yep.
I'm backing Alex Smith. They're going to steal this division.
And it'd be
Interesting.
it would be a beautiful story, wouldn't
Oh,
it?
yeah, huge story.
Yeah.
I'm full on the hype train for the redemption story here.
The Alex Smith 30 for 30. He took them to the
player.
playoffs. They got destroyed in the wild card week 1, but he took them there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, we've got Jacksonville at Green
Seahawks
Bay.
put 60 on or some shit like that. We made it. Anyway, keep going.
Jacksonville
Not his
at
other
Green Bay.
leg. No, we wouldn't wish that upon anyone.
No,
and we are tipping the Washington football team.
Yeah.
Yep.
Excited to see it.
Definitely. So Jacksonville at Green Bay.
Green Bay by a lot.
Yeah, I think this might be a little bit of a
They need a win.
Jordan Love experiment in the fourth quarter type thing.
Well, he's just come back. He was on COVID list, so he's just come back. That's why he didn't play any because Packers smashed whoever they played. I don't think we actually talked about that game. Oh, no, that was the...
There was a third.
That was
they,
the third,
they smacked the 49ers. They
Spanked the 49ers.
coming off a
and-
10-day break. It's in Green Bay.
Yeah. Love didn't play the last little bit of that. I can't remember who did for them.
Boyle, I think, is the other.
Yeah, might have been.
Yeah, anyways, I
But
wouldn't-
same thing possibly in this one.
yeah, wouldn't expect Rodgers to be there late in the fourth
I
quarter.
think it's spank him.
Watch out for Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones running amok.
I'm thinking like 44-10.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that's fair.
Yep. All right, so moving on, we've got Philadelphia at New York Giants.
Tolba?
Man, this game a couple of weeks ago was terrible. So
Yeah, it was bad. It's very important for the division, obviously. Like we were saying, the the worst division in football. Every game is crucial because there is that playoff spot. I think Philadelphia are better than their record suggests.
I'm going to go different. I think Giants seem to be they won that game against Washington. They played better the week before against Tampa. I think they might be trending up a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm thinking they might sneak this one.
One apiece here. Monk's deciding vote.
I don't think they're going
I'll
to
go
score a lot of
Giants.
points. I think this might be one of the 23-20 games.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an unders game.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Giants seem to be doing okay at the moment.
Okay. Can
So
get both of you to have a little sip next week when the Eagles get up. Moving on.
moving on. So Tampa Bay needing a bounce back at Carolina.
This is trouble because Carolina just pushed the
Yeah.
Chiefs. And
This could be the game, one of the game of the weeks. It's got a lot riding on it too, especially for the Panthers to sneak up in their division.
yeah, they
Definitely.
probably
if they
can't
can get a
afford to lose much more.
No.
CMC,
They've had plenty of 33 and 30 games.
yeah,
In that 30-30
yeah,
range. So.
they haven't been embarrassed by anyone, and everyone was sort of predicting the Panthers to be the laughingstock of the NFC South this year. They haven't disappointed their fans whatsoever. Losing CMC is big. Mike Davis, obviously not a bad replacement, but he isn't CMC. I'm going to go Bucks get the win, but the Panthers aren't embarrassed by any means.
I might go different and say
Ooh.
Panthers sneak this.
Do it. I don't have the balls to say it. I don't have the balls to say it, but I like your thinking.
Yeah, I think Panthers have been on the back end of a few of these really close 30 high scoring games. So
Yeah.
maybe this is the one
That's true.
that they win. It's either going to be TB comes out and has an absolute blinder, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, gives a middle finger to everyone in the stadium that's there and says, "This I'm still here, baby." Either that or he's still in his shell a little bit, and maybe the Panthers D can get after him and shell shock him again. And then I'm liking what Teddy's doing. I'm liking, like we said before,
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, and Mike Davis and CMC when he was there. They've got some ability over there. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
sneaky trap game for the Bucks. They need to win this game,
yeah.
they're
but maybe Panthers can sneak it.
yeah. Obviously going Bucks, but very worried about their secondary against Bridgewater.
One of the more interesting games of this round.
Yep, definitely. Next one.
So after that, we've got Denver at Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, not liking our chances. Defensive. Well, one good thing is we're good against the run, so we hopefully will be competitive in this. I think this game might be closer than people think.
Yeah.
Maybe another 30-27 kind of game. I'm not going to back. I think Denver. I'm going to say Denver. Hopefully, will win.
Optimistic.
Optimistic, yeah. But on current form, I think the Raiders. Head says Raiders, heart says Broncos. So
My head will say Raiders, and my heart's not involved. I think it'll be close, but I'll go Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep, Raiders.
who's at home?
Raiders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And it's always different when Denver's at home. Obviously, the altitude and the weather comes into play in that brand spanking new stadium there in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that other part of that story against Atlanta was they've had COVID in and out of the team up there, so they haven't been training overly much. So maybe a week of training, they might be a bit better. Maybe that's why they've played better late in games than starts. But yeah, it'd be an interesting one to see. For me, it's very much watch the young guys play, watch them build, and see what we can get out of them.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So moving on after that, we've got the Los Angeles Chargers at Miami.
Interesting game.
Miami,
Yeah, from what I've seen, Miami.
Yeah.
battle of
Battle of
the
the rookies. Yeah.
I'm going to pick Miami in this. Maybe in a high-scoring one again, 30-30.
High scoring, a lot of yards thrown.
Yeah, both these teams can get after it, I reckon.
Can Miami score on defense / special teams? Because it's like
Hopefully, I picked them up in fancy.
it's like 4 or 5 weeks in a row or something that they've done it. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they've been good.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So after that, we've got Buffalo at Arizona Cardinals.
This is a good game. Real good. Arizona unlucky to go down last week against Miami, despite a great performance. Just got outperformed, I would guess.
Yeah.
Kyler's had some really nice games out in the desert, most notably beating Seattle a few weeks ago.
Yeah, this could be on current form. I think Buffalo should win this, but I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
I don't like giving out tips of the round because I like having a little educated look at everything. The overs in this, would love to see the line. If it's anything under 55, I'll be taking the overs.
If it's between 55 and 60, I'd probably even maybe still think that you get this too.
And 60s, that's like betting companies don't often give out 60s very often.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be taking the overs in this.
Yeah, I think he definitely
Both really nice offenses.
Can score a lot of points.
Yeah, defense. Nothing against either of their defenses either. Like the Bills, especially, their defense isn't too bad. But yeah, just in a dome, perfect playing conditions. Kyler's been really good. Josh Allen's been really good. Yeah, look to see the overs here.
Yep,
Definitely.
keep going, Monkey.
And I'll say Bills as well.
Bills?
Bills.
Yep. So next up, we've got Seattle at LA Rams.
This could be a smoky.
Yeah,
Seattle
really need to win this and bounce back.
Yeah.
But Rams. Did
Seattle-
Jared Goff get hurt?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know the other quarterback had a few snaps for them. I don't know what the injury status is there on Goff.
He had 4 turnovers.
Well, that's not good.
Probably wouldn't worry about that with Seattle, though.
It was bye week last week. Okay.
So he's
And I think he turned the ball over a fair bit the week before, so he's a bit off.
Rams haven't been bad this year.
They've been better than expected. We're not going to go past Seahawks.
No.
No.
And the games that they've lost recently against Bills and the Cardinals still looked really good on offense. Their defense needs to go out and make a few stops. The Rams offense isn't the same Rams offense as a few years ago.
No.
Seattle for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Hockeys.
Yep. No, that's it. So next up, we've got San Fran carrying a few injuries against the Saints. New
Saints
Orleans.
by a lot.
Yeah, I'll go New Orleans.
49ers, their season's done. Let's put it that way. They're cooked.
Yep. So moving right along after that, we've got Cincinnati at Pittsburgh.
This could be interesting with COVID.
Yeah.
Yes.
If Mason Rudolph plays, I'm going to go Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'll say the same. Conditional. If it's Rudolph and not Big Ben, I'll go the Bengals. Joe Burrow to get his first win against the Steelers.
Yeah.
And
They've been looking really good.
Yeah.
The offense, they've got weapons. They've got a lot of weapons over there.
Yeah, this game, very hard to pick. Obviously, it's 2020 and the world is on fire with the COVID and that. Will depend on who ends up suiting up. We don't know at this stage. One to keep an eye on. But if, Big Ben's out, we like the Bengals.
Yep. I think so, yeah. So after that, rounding out Sunday games, we've got Baltimore at New England.
Baltimore by a lot.
By a lot.
Imagine Monday night game 2 years ago. Baltimore, New England. You go, ooh, this is tasty.
Yeah.
This is tasty. This is two of the better teams in the AFC. Strange year.
Maybe Cam's up for this game against, his clone that taking over the league from what he was doing a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
maybe he gets up for this.
The younger and better Cam.
Yeah, but I don't think
2.0.
I can't see that New England team winning.
From what I've seen this year of that Patriots offense, no, I think the Ravens get out to an early lead and they maybe don't put an embarrassing number up on the Patriots. They might go into a bit of game management.
30-something.
But I think they win
30
this.
to 10.
I think they win this comfortably.
Yep. Yeah, New England, arguably with no real weapons, I don't trust Cam too much,
No.
unfortunately.
What's the Monday night game?
So Monday night, which is our Tuesday, is Minnesota at Chicago.
This is an interesting game.
I think Chicago is going to win this. So
Chicago.
I think they can stop David Cook, and don't think Kirk Cousins is good enough against that defense. Whereas
That makes sense.
I think Foles on the flip side can probably score 24 points against the Vikings. So I think I'm going to go unders, low scoring game in this one. But Bears is sneaky.
Outdoors in Chicago, mid-November, that weather could be playing a factor. as well. Yeah.
Well, Minnesota as well. Oh, Minnesota.
So-
plays?
so-
The team from Minnesota, they should know some of this weather conditions. when they
Oh,
come over.
yeah, but any players, it'll affect you. Yeah. I'm thinking more in terms of the scoreline.
Yeah, if Chicago can stop the run game for Minnesota, then outside, then that's potentially.
To beat Minnesota, you got to get the ball into Kirk Cousins' hands. Unfortunately for Kirk Cousins.
And notoriously bad in prime time.
Yes. Primetime Kirk Cousins.
I'll go Bears too.
Yeah, Bears for me.
Yep. And then this week for the buys, we've got Atlanta, Dallas, which is probably a relief for them, Kansas City, and New York Jets.
So 3 Mez and obviously the Super Bowl favourites.
Jets finally get a win.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, they don't give them points in. You can't use the
Get a
old.
win or don't lose.
Can't
the
use
game.
the old NRL. Oh, yeah, they got 2 points against the boy. Tough opponent this week. It doesn't work like that over there. Unfortunately, at least they'll get a rest and can think about trying to win a game or two this year.
Yeah.
The poor old Jets.
So that'll wrap up the NFL for this week. The other news stories we wanted to tackle, the Rugby Union. So it's been made official. Channel 9 has bought the rights to Rugby Union, which is probably huge for that sport.
Massive. We've been speculating about this off and on for the last few weeks in the podcast. Is there any information out as to how much they paid? Or is that not?
According to this, 9 and Stan sign a $100 million broadcast deal with Rugby Australia.
That keeps that sport alive, frankly.
Yeah.
It's a 3-year deal.
3-year
as
deal.
well.
Yeah.
3 years, so 33.3 recur.
Which I think that's what they were looking for. They were looking in that 30-40 mil a year kind of bucket. So.
It's still less than what Foxtel offered them initially, I believe.
Yes.
That damn bitch Raylene Cashel managed to turn down, but that's a massive saving grace for rugby in this country, and free to air. That is a massive thing that we've been harping on this show. Not everyone has pay TV, especially kids. If you want to keep a sport alive, you need it to be on free to air.
So it'd be interesting with because what I said there was Stan involved. Whether that means that they'll take it off KO, maybe not.
You'd say yeah, because they're direct competitors. So yeah. Anyways,
but
I don't know. But yeah, the main. So I'm just having a look here. The main reason for Rugby Australia to make the change was "quote unquote" the reach.
yeah,
So
they
definitely
need to be
trying
free to air. The landscape of way people consume television and especially sports has kind of changed. Like for us boys, it's very much free to air, a Game Pass or KO. Like that's where you need to be. That's where your core user base is. That's where you need to get to.
Yep.
So the following question is that Channel 9's got rugby now. The rugby and the rugby league season definitely overlaps.
they're going to be direct clashes.
Yeah, like
How's that going to work?
great question. So that's whether are they going to be playing a lot of games on Stan, or are they going to be putting them a lot of games on like Go or
Are they going
Yeah.
Jam?
Are they going to
So-
stagger them?
So to that, so
Rugby league's going to be it's the Premier League. So it's going to be the forefront. Its times won't change. It's just whether they put them on Go or something.
So obviously nothing's set in stone, but it's likely to be put towards Gem, which is one of the other 9 channels.
But then you're probably then a direct competition with rugby league, which again doesn't help you overall. But maybe that's why they need to work it out and go, well, rugby league's playing its Saturday games on Foxtel. Let's play our Saturday games on free to air.
That's, I think, where they do it.
Yeah.
I think that's where they do it. I think because it obviously hasn't been Saturday football on free to air in rugby league.
Yep.
As far as I've followed the sport.
And except for like grand finals, which fall on a Saturday.
Grand finals is always on a Sunday, but for your playoff games.
The final games.
Finals
Sorry,
games.
yes, I was talking finals. Not
Yes.
final.
But yeah, I think that's possibly where they get them. They maybe have a Saturday afternoon and Saturday night game on free to air in the rugby.
Yeah, and the only other spot I would probably pick would be then say a Sunday night too, because rugby league plays a Sunday afternoon. So that's where I would play it.
They could stagger it and kind of compete with Foxtel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We're on to Chuck us on the board.
So Stan is launching a Stan Sport soon. So whether it becomes the flagship for Stan Sport, it is putting rugby straight back into the position they're at with Foxtel behind that paywall. But
that's again you're then competing directly with KO. It's kind of slowing that market up at the moment.
yeah,
Like if all your sports you got on there, well, it's a question: does Win then pull in all their sports back in and go, well, they can't take all of rugby league. They can only take their component. They can't take Foxtel's component.
No.
But they've still got tennis, I believe, Australian tennis. They've got the cricket back, don't they?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
So,
the 7 experiment.
Again, not the Foxtel's stuff. So they'll have
Nine's going to be the home of sport again.
Yeah, exactly. So do they then free service on Stan part of it, or they do a pay thing? I don't think a paid model of Stan. I think doesn't work long term.
no, you have to be very strategic about how you roll that out.
Yeah, because no one's going to be like, shit, I'm going to pay another subscription service to watch rugby. I've already been doing that for Foxtel. I want it on free to air. But, that'd be awesome. You have your Friday night game, 2 games, and then you go rugby, you have 2 games, and then you have your Sunday afternoon game. Maybe you play a Sunday morning game or you play a Sunday night game to get around the rugby league.
It's very strategic because there is some crossover, especially...
but you get the fan. Like, you sit the fan there for 4 days, 4 nights straight watching football.
Yep, yeah.
On the same channel.
On the same channel, yeah.
Yeah, strategic. Use Channel 9, you can send us a check when you come up with that idea. Heard it here first on the Esky.
So, to follow up some Wallabies news, Vunivalu.
It is late.
He's signed to play rugby union next year. I'm not sure what club, whether I think it's the Waratahs. Could be wrong. Could be the Melbourne team, it could be the Reds, it could be Brumbies. I don't know. Any of the ones on the East Coast.
One of the sports teams in the sport.
Yeah. So he's, of course, leaving the Storm, plays rugby league for the Storm, but they've already called him into the Wallabies side. Obviously, seeing how good Corabeatti's doing and going, shit, no, he had an unreal game on the weekend. Let's get him over here. So he might... Does he play against Argentina in a week or 2? Maybe. He's real talent. It's like, we'll whack you out there and see how you go.
Pretty interchangeable, isn't it? Playing on the wing in the rugby league to rugby union, you probably get the ball a little bit less on the wing in union. Rugby loves pinching wingers.
Yeah, and rolling them straight into the Wallabies too. That's
out of the Storm. Corabeatti,
Yeah.
Fijian winger. It's nearly exactly the same recipe.
Yep.
You'd think Vunivalu probably when he's available to play will play for the Wallabies. It kind of makes you question the depth maybe of the backs in rugby union. I know Curtis Rona, no Corona jokes there, was pretty much straight into the Wallabies after barely getting a start at the Bulldogs when he was there in the rugby league.
Yeah, I think it probably goes back to what we're talking about the TV deals. A lot of the talent is definitely in the other league. It's at the forefront. That's where sponsorship, the money is. That's where everyone's talking about. They're talking about that league. The rugby union only really gets talked about when you get around to Bledisloe and the Wallabies, etc. So, yeah, it does not surprise me that the talent crop in rugby league is higher. So that's when these guys go across to the Wallabies. Like, these two aren't fringe players, let's be honest. They played in the Storm team that won premierships. So
Vunivalu especially, he's a premier winger in the NRL. Yeah.
Well, Corabeatti, I think, was as well. Like,
that year before he left.
I think he scored 20
scoring tries left, right, and centre. Yeah.
So they've definitely got capability and talent, which is probably what they're lacking in rugby union. And you can see, don't want to bag the builds of the rugby union players, but you can see very much if you took the Kangaroos team and put it against the Wallabies, you can see the quality of male specimen is different.
Seems to be some better athletes on the wing in rugby league.
Yeah.
What do you reckon about that? Lachlan Swinton shot. He's going to get 4 weeks. Offer Tuanga Nafasi. Apologies for the pronunciation there. He's said to get 3 weeks for the All Blacks.
I thought his was worse than Lachlan's. So if you're gonna ban them, I would have given them the same. But it's long bans, 4 and 3 weeks for those shots.
Quite frankly, a joke. I think as a sports fan, 5 years ago, you'd watch that and go, geez, that's a good shot.
Yeah.
But like there's no...
They're definitely
it's not malicious either of that. There's no big swinging arms. There's,
Well, you applaud rugby union as a league trying to stamp it out and get it.
I guess.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a contact sport.
Yeah.
Like,
considering the amounts of damage that happens in the scrums, the ruck and malls, and
oh yeah, don't worry about that. Yeah.
I'd be more worried about the metal studs and diving head first into those things. That's where your injury is going to happen.
And something that has to be considered is the welfare of the other player. Both players in this bounced off, were fine, didn't affect them in the long run. The fact that they get 7 weeks combined between the two of them, sure, man, it's...
I think the red card was probably enough in this case.
That's right.
They both missed the rest of the
game.
So within the game.
Yeah, exactly. And
if you're really worried about it, maybe a week.
Yeah.
Miss the next game.
Yeah, I agree. A little slap in the wrist.
But a month of football, especially in the Tri Nations coming up.
They've got to get intent. You can see in both of those tackles, if you haven't seen them, YouTube them. Lachlan Swinton and Offa Tuangafasi for the Wallabies and All Blacks, respectively. They just seem like good, clean, shoulder first tackles. Yes, they don't. I wouldn't regard them as shoulder charges by any means. There is some attempt to wrap. Yeah. I agree. I do think the All Blacks fella probably did look a little higher, but there's no intent. There's no swinging arm.
I thought he's had more force. Looking at it, I thought he's had more force.
Yeah. To me, they just look like good shots. Both guys uninjured. The fact that they're throwing the book at him, oh man, it's just another list on the long list of this sport's reputation of really sliding in the last few years. A sport that's not sliding.
A sport that's about to kick off.
Summertime. Oh, man, it's a good time of the year.
It's cricket.
Good time of the year. Work's dying down. Cricket's building up. The test side got announced today.
So, James, while you bring up the test side, so get that up. The big story of the week was Coley. His missus is pregnant, of course, is giving a baby in January. So it looks like he's going to play the first test and then go home. So he misses the 3 following.
Big news for us.
Huge news for us. Like, that's
arguably the best test batsman, and if not the best test batsman, the best all-round cricketer in the world.
Yeah. See him and Stephen Smith go head-to-head is, each innings back-to-back. Like, that's so impressive. But to lose him for the back end of the test series with those 3 games, that's a huge loss.
Yeah,
for India and the series. I feel for everyone that's bought tickets on the limited run of tickets for those games that are for this series.
There'll be some shattered Indian fans, that's for sure. He's on par with the multiple gods they have over there. What are your thoughts on missing 3 full test matches for the birth of a child? Is
his first?
First, yep.
Yeah. I'm not going to bag him. That's fair enough.
No, it probably wouldn't have happened back in the day.
So, what's Sarah going to do you if you miss the birth of your first kid?
Well, she'll say you can be there because all you do is talk about sport and drink beers. If you were playing a test series and making millions of dollars in sponsorship and the rest of it, there may be some
I think does she make more than him? Because she's the movie star. So
I doubt it. He's
royalty.
His salary.
She's Bollywood royalty.
His salary would be 5 times more than what the Aussie players make because of the amount of money in the Indian system.
Makes heaps of sponsorship.
But then his sponsorship money in a country of 1.3, who knows, billion people. It's that they pretty much may as well be the king and queen of India.
Yep.
Him being out on a spectacle side, you don't get the full Smith versus Coley, 2 best teams going at it in Test cricket after India winning for the first time in donkey's years the last time they were over here. So we do have the Test side up there now. I'll just quickly rattle that off. Named today, actually, for Australia. This is the preliminary squad.
Yep.
Tim Payne to stay as captain there. Stevie Smith doesn't become eligible to take that captaincy back for another 6 months or so. Paddy Cummins, vice-captain. Then rattling them off, Sean Abbott, Joe Burns. Cameron Green makes it into the side for the first time, into the squad, I should say. Josh Hazelwood, Travis Head, Marnus Labuschagne, Nathan Lyon, Michael Neser, James Pattinson, Will Pukoski, Steve Smith, Mitchell Stark, Mitchell Swepson, Matthew Wade, Dave Warner. Big ins, obviously, for Cameron Green, Will Pukoski, who has made 2 double tons this year. He has 3 double tons in his short Sheffield Shield career. He's 22 years old. Broke all kinds of records with Marcus Harris for the Vicks a few weeks ago. Would be really pressing for a spot in that first test team.
First 11, yeah.
Probably
Who are your tools?
who's the quick's going to be?
Yep.
I don't think they break outside of Mitchell Stark, Josh Hazelwood, and
Cummins.
Josh.
So I'm thinking.
Hazelwood, Cummins, and Stark.
Yeah, my question was whether they keep Stark or maybe bring in Abbott, but
I don't think Abbott, Pattinson maybe.
Pattinson maybe.
Yeah.
I think that they might through the series. I think they might flip those 2 back and forth depending on how they're going. I think you'll take Cummins and Hazelwood in there as your key 2, and then bring in one of the others depending on form and health.
Yep.
Of course, Lyon's going to bowl. So
yeah, he's close to one of the first guys picked these days is Nathan Lyon. Who's the top 6 going to be? Obviously,
who are your openers? That's probably the good
that's
question.
probably the biggest question, isn't it? Well,
Warner's going to be one.
Let's put it this way before we pick an opener. Yeah. Warner, Smith, Labuschagne, Head probably all get picked. There's 4. Joe Burns is in poor form.
Mm-hmm.
Has a good test record. Pukoski's in excellent form.
Yep.
Doesn't have any test
form. Would you open with him?
To show. He's been opening and has made back-to-back double tons. On form, he did have the mental health break last year. On form, I think Pukoski's got to open.
Yep. And
then at 6, do they stick with Wade or do they go a guy like Joe Burns or do they blood a young guy like Cameron Green? The first test is until December 17, I think. So
yes,
we've got 5 weeks before then. There's
4 ODIs.
ODIs leading up to that and a few Sheffield Shield games. So obviously hard to speculate just yet.
Who knows? Sean Marsh could keep hitting the hundreds and then we'll pick him again.
Well, he's not in the squad at this stage, so there may not be any marshery, if you will. But
just don't pick him.
I think
Don't pick Sean Marsh.
On December 17, you will see a slightly different Australian lineup, and without Coley, I think they win this Test series again. I hope so.
Yep. Without Coley, yes, I'm going to go with you.
Golf, bit of golf.
Yep.
The Masters in the strange time of November. Obviously, the Masters normally run
pushed all the way back.
Yeah, it normally goes ahead in April. The weather may be something to consider over there in November.
Yeah,
it'll get dark a lot earlier. It'll be colder than it would be in April.
So I think that's kind of been some of the chat that D. Shambo is the favourite for the Masters. Big Bryson. Yeah, he's had an unreal up to this point. There was talk about, I think due to the weather and the play, whether they'd play them back a bit, so not off the normal tee spot and move it like 30 or 40 yards back. Why
do you think that is? Make it longer?
I think in the end they're not going to do this. I think they were talking about they've played some there, and with the weather, the wetness, and that it's kind of ruined the tee box they've got, so they let it regrow.
Okay.
So
maybe they get a bit more rain and that.
It's all soft. It's all been dug up. It's all. So Deschambeau, of course, is just like, I'm more than happy if you want to move it back 40 yards. Right, that helps me.
Anyone that hits bombs would be going, yep, move them back. And
on that as well, though, because if it's wetter, his balls are going to be pulling up a lot shorter.
Yeah, they're not going to have to run as much, but he can hit. His flight time, his flight distance is further than most of these guys. Compared to, so Tiger have been a bit out of form this year, but won the Masters last year.
Sure did.
For his redemption story. So
One of the great stories in sport.
Yeah, you can't rule out Tiger at all in this.
Never.
So big tournament for him. So one of those guys, of course, that rises to the occasion. So maybe he has another big year, a big tournament. But if they move the tee back, like that doesn't help Tiger at all. Guy with back injuries, like his long game is probably not one of the things he wants to focus on to try and win this tournament. He's going to try to play an unreal short game to keep him close.
To be honest, I think Tiger had his moment last year, being able to win one after, 12, 13 years in between drinks. Incredible in itself.
Got to remember it's golf, though. He's probably got another 40 years in golf.
He'll be winning Masters when he's 100, you reckon?
Well, what's he? I think he's 48 at the moment.
He'd be a good 48.
I think he's in his 40s.
Monks, maybe
He'd be in his 40s.
Yeah, 44. No, I'm wrong.
44. Can you Google oldest person to win a Masters? It would have been a lot different back in the day.
I think it was
obviously.
Nicklaus.
Jack Nicklaus. We're comparing apples with oranges here, obviously, because these days you do need to be a reasonable physical condition to win a tournament like this. How old was Jack Nicklaus when he won?
He's
80 now, but when was he?
46 and 82 days.
So that's
He won
only
in
2 years older.
1986.
I bet you there's someone from way back in the day that's won a golf major a lot older than that. I would imagine into their 50s. Yeah. But a very old sport. So, again, comparing apples with oranges.
Well, his last Masters win was 86. So.
For Nicklaus.
Yeah, they would have been.
So that would have when it was.
Yeah, that's 46.
Yep.
46.
Yep, that was it. So he's number one.
He is the oldest?
He's the oldest. After that, we've got Tiger Woods at 43.
Really?
Last year.
Oh, I stand corrected. Maybe people just died younger back in those days. We're talking about, competitions that have got history for 150 years. I thought someone might have won it a lot older back in those days. But there you go. There you go.
How old do you think Greg Norman is?
Now,
yeah.
76.
65.
You're joking.
Yeah.
There you go.
I thought
He's only 65. Oh.
Yeah.
Us young whippersnappers.
Yes. Well, he looked like he was 65 when he was playing, so that didn't help him.
Too much of that Gold Coast sun.
That sun-weathered shark.
Yeah, definitely. Very weathered. So his last win was 96.
Obviously only won 2 golf majors.
So he would have been...
Quick maths, that is 24 years ago. He's 65. He would have been 41.
41, yeah. Yeah, so okay. It's not a complete old man's game.
No. You think about it. The 4 days, like if we were to go play 4 rounds of golf on you, and there's no carts, your caddy carries your clubs, sure, but you're walking and doing all the thinking. It plays on you, and a lot of these guys warm up for an hour or two before they go out there. Yeah. It's not Aussie rules or the UFC or the rugby league, but it's not a walk in the park.
And especially with how the game's kind of changed this year, as an example, like power game.
Yeah, the long drive. Guys trying to hit further and further. Anyone could win this.
Well, Adam Scott for the Aussies had a bit of bad run of form of late, but then I think he won a tournament in the last month. So I think he's trying to hit his strides leading into the Masters as well.
Would be surprised if Scott or Jason Day or Cameron Smith or any of the other Aussies playing went far. I don't mind a guy like Bryson or...
Yeah, just sit back and watch Bryson hit bombs for 4 days.
Yeah, and there's about 20 blokes that could win this. We'll have a full Masters recap on next week's on the Esky.
So that, I think, does us for this week, boys.
Big episode.
Big episode. A lot to go through.
Apologies to the 2 boys in here that have got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, all good. Of course, big game next week, State of Origin
Massive,
Game 3 decider.
Massive decider.
So next week's show, of course, we'll have all the recap and review of Game 3. I don't think there'll be overly much AFL news next week. I think they'll go into
trade deadline done. We probably won't be chatting too much about that until
they'll go into
January
hiatus.
or February.
Yep. Yep. Of course, I think we'll look at a UFC card next week because 255's not this weekend, but next weekend. Not a huge amount of big names on that card, but we'll have a brief look at it. If there's any rugby news in the Tri Nations, we'll cover that. And of course, the Masters. But besides that, all the NFL chat and all the big stories of sports. There'll be an F1 race on the weekend.
Yep, quick recap on Turkey.
Yep, on Turkey. So that'll be next week's show. Thank you, boys. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, our longest stint so far, and our shortest turnaround. So just goes to show there's so much to keep up to date with in this world of sport and this crazy thing called the internet, and our young generation, which loves to follow a multitude of sports. Been a pleasure. We'll talk next week.
All right. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.